Okay. I think I'm going to start Suns Nuggets. We'll go from there.
Okay.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of 3 Point Weekly. Today, we're going to be discussing all of the madness that has been happening in the second round from an 8 seed and a 7 seed currently winning their second round matchup, and the battle that is currently going on that Jokic is making an argument for best player in the world alongside his counterpart in the West, Steph Curry, and his knocked out fellow in Giannis. We got lots to talk about from that madness, followed up by a Jeopardy game that'll be hosted by Gabe, who has been under some previous allegations as a host and will have to redeem himself today in a very good matchup between myself and Tyrik that last was ended by a tiebreaker. But we'll start by the good matchup out west in Denver and Phoenix. And I want to start with you, Gabe, because you've been the one who has been really high on Devin Booker on the pod over the last few weeks and the last few months. And obviously, he's been playing out of his mind as of late because he's had to for this Phoenix team. And he's a big reason why they've been able to have as much success as they've had, even though Denver are still up 2-1. He's been a big reason why they've been as competitive as they have been. And so I'll pass it off to you first to see what you think about the Suns as a whole, but also give your props to Devin Booker because he's been absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, I think this is just more fuel to the fire of saying that he's clearly the best shooting guard in the league. I don't think there's anybody that's doing the things he's doing at the efficiency he's doing it. No matter what team they're against, no matter what matchup he has, it feels like he's always able to score at will. And you rarely see an off night from him. However, things do not look great for the team as a whole. Looking at game 3, yeah, they basically saved their season by being able to get that one and not going into an 0-3 hole. But at the same time, it took like 86 combined points from like 2 players. And I don't think you can rely on that to win you 4. I do like that they made a little bit of adjustments and are trying different guys in the lineup. Seeing TJ Warren minutes was pretty cool. Landry Shamet still getting 25. I don't know what kind of blackmail he has. We've been talking about it for weeks at this point, but hopefully they can kind of figure out who's working in this matchup and who isn't, and maybe try to salvage that as much as possible to get as much outside production. But I don't think Devin Booker and KD can do this 4 times in a row. Game 2 still stayed competitive, and so that was a little bit closer. So things have been getting better for the Suns as the series goes on. It's just the way they won doesn't really give me a lot of confidence going forward. And I'll save the DeAndre Ayton rant for somebody else, but we're going to need a little bit more from him too.
I don't know if it's worth even speaking about him angrily anymore. He just is what he is at this point. We can't really expect too much out of him. The adjustments by Monty were cool for game 3, but like you said, Gabe, you can't really expect this kind of production from Devin Booker and Kevin Durant, to win 4 games in this series. It's just not really, attainable. You can't really rely on guys heavily that much. And it just reminds me a lot of how Devin Booker had to go off early in the season for this team to be competitive. And he's having to do it in the postseason as well. Even though they were playing different guys off the bench, I know Devin's probably going to mention the Torrey Craig, how he's just not getting minutes anymore, which is just so confusing. But there's still not really too much consistency with the guys that are coming off the bench. It worked in game 3. Obviously, role players are going to play better at home. That's always just an unwritten rule in playoff basketball. So it was an unimpressive win. Devin Booker's amazing, but that's the game that Denver can concede, and they look pretty, solid in that game. Jamal Murray shot terrible in the 4th quarter, and they still had a chance to win that contest. So, and Aaron Gordon played pretty poor the first half. I think Denver will be fine. I still think a lot of pressure is on Phoenix tonight to win this game 4, more so than Denver needs to get this dub. So I don't know what adjustments Monty's going to continue to make. He's been kind of just so iffy this postseason, and maybe it's just because just how their depth is just not trustworthy, especially once it gets to the postseason. So I don't know. Devin Booker though, like you said, Gabe, he's easily the best shooting guard in the league. I don't think that's a question. He should be at the top of our list once we get to the offseason ranking. So it's been a joy to watch him in the postseason.
Definitely. That's not debatable at this point. He's been ridiculous and is the only reason they've been anywhere near as competitive as they have been. But like you guys alluded to, the way that the Suns won game 3 was not very encouraging. It just definitely looks like a team that is going to struggle the rest of the way through the series and maybe they get it to 6, but I don't think it goes any further than that. And at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if this is done in 5. Denver just looks like the better team, and the Suns look like a 2-man unit. And even though KD has been good, and this is honestly more so of a knock on the Suns as a whole than it is on KD, they just need him to be better to win. And that's not because he's been bad. He just hasn't been elite. He's just been good, which is not what the Suns need right now. When they have the depth performing the way they've had it performing this postseason, KD and Booker both need to be elite tier players night in and night out. And KD has just been good. And that just simply isn't going to be good enough for them. And unfortunately, that's just the situation they're in right now. And at least, like you guys alluded to, they did roll out a few different guys off the bench in game 3, because at this point, you just have to try something. The weird thing, like you mentioned, Tyrik, is that they've gone from their one complimentary guy who was playing well to then just not including him in the rotation at all, or very minimally, which is very odd. I mean, he was at times arguably the third best guy on the floor at times for the Suns in the first round. And now he just completely disappeared from going heavy minutes in your starting lineup to 2 minutes a night in game 3. It just doesn't make sense. I recognize that since game 3 of the first round, he hasn't been playing as well, but at least he's solid on the defensive end. You got a guy in Landry Shamet out there who's playing 25 minutes a night who ain't shooting the ball well and ain't giving you much on defense either. So it definitely seems a bit questionable where the rotations are at parts, but at least he's trying to get a few different guys involved at this point, because like we've been saying for the last few weeks now, the bench just hasn't been working. Maybe TJ Warren gives them a few more productive minutes moving forward, but they're definitely in a tough spot because it just doesn't seem like anything's going to change. We keep having the same conversation about the Suns' depth. Booker's been great. KD's been good, but it just hasn't been enough production from the other guys. And when Chris Paul's out for a bit of time now, that's hurting. And like we mentioned, DeAndre Ayton just hasn't been good enough. And he needs to be that guy for them, especially with Chris Paul out. We can talk about their bench all they want, but they don't even have their third guy. And that's arguably the biggest problem with this team. And we've talked about it time and time again, and it's just becoming more and more clear this postseason, is that Ayton has talent, but he does not showcase the level of compete and the work ethic night in, night out on the basketball court that you need to have success in this league, especially in the postseason and especially as a center. And ultimately, that's going to really hurt him and the Suns come playoff time. And that's why we're getting Jock Landale playing the majority of a fourth quarter, because Jock Landale didn't outplay him. Jock Landale just got given the minutes because Ayton played himself out of the game. And that's no slight on Jock Landale. He was fine, but it was also clear that Jokic was having some fun with him on the offensive end, to say the least. And Jokic has just been elite. Jamal Murray's been quite solid through a majority of this series, despite his poor shooting game 2. Game 1 and 3 has been good. Aaron Gordon's been good for the majority of the series. This Denver team just has multiple guys contributing, whilst also having someone who's playing just as well, if not better, than Devin Booker. And ultimately, Suns are just in a spot where they're just not the better team. They got 2 dudes and then a bunch of guys who aren't really contributing that much.
Yeah, I viewed this roster as like kind of a 4-man power trip, and then the rest of the roster was just going to be like whatever. But now it's like you're down that third guy, and the fourth guy just, 4 points in a must-win playoff game, just it doesn't cut it at all. And at that point, when you're down him, like with production-wise, if then Chris Paul's not even in the game, now you're just putting everything on your 2 main guys, and I feel like that'll just run them into the ground. Like KD having to go out and not only be the all-time scorer he is, but also putting up a damn near triple-double, 8 assists, 9 rebounds. It's like you can't put that all on one guy. Devin Booker having to go out, and he's having to drop 50 and almost get double-digit assists, because it's just with no Chris Paul now, there's no playmaking, and they're just kind of all over the place now. And you look on the other side, and it's like Jokic put up 30, 17, and 17, and he was just chilling. Like it wasn't even that hard for him. And for him to have that game and the Nuggets lose, like that's surprising. But a guy like Jokic, I feel like, not saying he'll replicate that, but I think he can put up stat lines close to that, like night in, night out, especially if they're going to defend him the way they are, which is not very well at all.
Yeah, exactly. I just think, Devin really hit it on the head. Like Denver's just looked like the better team. They're deeper. Their top end talent is playing just as well, I would say. as the Suns do. And they're coached better. Like Michael Malone has to get his credit. I think he's really coached a really good series. And I don't know, like prediction wise, but I'm expecting them to like really come out with a different game plan and like try and slow Devin Booker down because he's been getting it off for sure. And if they can stop Book tonight, this series is probably over in 5, like Devin said. So definitely been a masterclass from Denver, and they're proving us wrong. I mean, they've looked like the most solid team probably in the Western Conference this postseason.
Yeah, I would agree. And we were definitely a little bit hesitant about the Nuggets going into the postseason, but they've looked like the strongest team out west, or at least have an argument for that at this point, depending on how you feel about the Lakers and the Warriors. But they definitely look like the better team compared to the Suns. They have the top end talent. They have the depth. They have their 3 guys off the bench that they trust, and that seems to be a general benchmark in the regular season. When you're dealing with injuries, you like to have a little bit more, but if you can have your 3 dudes off the bench who can produce come postseason time, usually in a pretty good spot. And the Nuggets have had that. Everyone knows who the 3 guys are, and they're consistently productive. Whereas you look at the Suns, and it's a guess who any given night on who's playing what minutes and what rotations and what combination. And we talked about it right when the trade happened, and we're still talking about it now 2.5 months later. And ultimately, that's just going to continue to be the biggest downfall for the Suns, because the top end talent's certainly there, but everything else around it is crumbling very fast.
Shout out to Christian Brown for being like the only rookie in playoff rotations, man. Solid player, man. I like his game a lot. He just plays the game the right way.
Definitely deserves a shout out. He's been having a very nice postseason with the Nuggets. Let's move back out east to the New York Knicks and the Miami Heat, where Butler, of course, has missed some time, but Miami still have had control of the series for the most part. I'll get your thoughts first, Tyrik. How have you felt about this series so far, and do you think the Knicks have any bit of a chance of fighting back into this, or is this just Miami's trip to the Eastern Conference Finals with the writing on the wall?
I think Miami, they're just playing just their brand of basketball, like that we kind of always expect from them. And like even in Game 2 when Jimmy didn't play, like they still had every chance to win that game. Like the Knicks needed like Randall to have his best playoff game, I think maybe of his career. Brunson had a big time performance. I think he scored 30. And they still barely got out of there. Like Miami was right there. And then with Jimmy coming back, looks like he didn't miss a beat at all. Like he's still playing like how he has been this entire postseason. I just think Miami's a little too much. They got the best player on the floor, which is saying something because Jalen Brunson has been really good this postseason, but Jimmy has been that much better. So to answer your question, I don't think the Knicks really have a chance. This series could be over in 5-2, even as like up in the air as I was before the series started. I just think Miami's just too solid and they're playing too good of basketball right now. Their shooters are still shooting relatively well. And, that's even like Kevin Love not shooting well in Game 2. Gabe Vincent didn't or Game 3. Gabe Vincent didn't shoot well in Game 3. But I expect those guys to be better. And, an AC making the conference finals was not in my deck of cards for this postseason, but it very much might happen.
Yeah, I was a little bit less split when this series started. I feel like I was still, even after the Cavs series, a bit lower on the Knicks. I looked at that first round series and I was like, man, I feel like the Cavs just like totally collapsed. And not to not give credit to the Knicks because they played a really great series. But I looked at them versus Miami and I was just like, I still don't really know if I trust anybody besides Jalen Brunson. And through the first 3 games, Jalen Brunson shown up pretty well. But everybody else, I'm just kind of like about. But looking at Miami coming into this series, Jimmy was playing out of his mind in round 1, but it was also their depth pieces that had a bit of a resurgence, like a Kyle Lowry, like a Duncan Robinson, especially Vincent and Strus playing a lot better than the regular season. And so Game 1 ended up being a lot closer than I thought, and I thought, oh, we might have a series here, especially if Jimmy's out. But then after Game 2 was so close, and now looking at Game 3, it just feels like Miami kind of has their number, has really taken control, and I just don't think New York will get back into this. I mean, you look at Game 3, and it's like, Jimmy Butler's coming off an injury. You should have every chance to win. He might be a little bit rusty, still not be 100%. And then your star player comes out and gives you 10 points. RJ, who was going to be an important piece in them getting through this series, comes out, gives you 14. It's like you need somebody else to really step up big time besides just Jalen Brunson, because as good as he's been, he can't carry you by himself against a team like Miami. And it's weird to say that about an 8 seed But we all know this is not the traditional 8 seed. This is a team that was in the conference finals last year with like the exact same roster. A team that was in the finals like 3 years ago. Like they've been here and they know how to get through. So you're going to have to play at your best if you want to take them out. And New York just isn't doing that. Game 3 putting up 86 points. I mean, that's a game that Miami's regular season offense could have won. And if their playoff offense is going to continue to be one of the best in the league, you don't got a chance if you're not playing that well.
Yeah, the Knicks are definitely in a spot where last series they matched up well with Cleveland based on how they could dominate on the glass, specifically with how Randall and Mitchell Robinson were on the offensive boards, and the fact that the Cavs just didn't defend very well for a team that's normally very good defensively. They've now run into a Heat team who has managed the Knicks' good offensive rebounding ability and hasn't really let that be a significant factor, and has also been very good defensively and significantly better than the Cavs were defensively, where Randall, other than a game, has continued to be relatively poor in the postseason, which unfortunately seems to be a trend for him, where Brunson, although has still been good, has been nowhere near as elite as he was during the first round of the playoffs, and that's no slight on him. That's just a credit to this Miami Heat defense. And the Knicks are just in a point now where they're fine, but Miami neutralized a lot of what really separated them in round one. And at the same time, this is all happening while the Knicks have just gone absolutely cold from three. They're shooting 27% from three throughout the series. They didn't shoot amazingly against the Cavs, but they shot a lot better than that. And it's been rough for them this series. And this has all been happening while, sure, Miami had an elite offense in the first round. They're nowhere near that level in round two. And they still look that much better when you compare them to this Knicks team. They look to be the far superior team. They're only shooting 31% from three in the series, but it just looks like Miami are much more comfortable in this series than the Knicks. They have much more control moving forward. The defense is much better. The offensive flow looks better. They're a team that's been here before, and it shows. And the Knicks just look like a team that, look, getting to the second round for the Knicks is a great season for them. That was not on the table for most people heading into this postseason. Hell, even getting into the play-in wasn't on the table for everyone for them heading into this season. But the fact that they are where they are is good. But ultimately, Miami have the experience. Miami have the better roster. And it just looks like they're set to win this one pretty comfortably for the rest of it, assuming that Jimmy stays healthy and they just walk this one out.
Yeah, like I think maybe two of us had the Knicks in like the play-in, and that was it. Like we didn't really expect them to be a top 5 seed in the Eastern Conference. So, I mean, it's definitely an overachieving type of season. But hopefully they can build on it this time, like in comparison to a couple years ago where they kind of regressed. I think they will because they got the building block with Jalen Brunson. They made the Josh Hart trade and everything. So I think they'll move forward and they'll come back still a relatively good team, hopefully better. But this is just like matchups are so important in the playoffs, and the Knicks are just, the Heat are just like a tough matchup for the Knicks in comparison to where Cleveland was kind of, maybe we didn't see it as a favorable matchup, but they were able to really dominate the boards. Miami's not really going to let that happen. And they got, bigger wing players in comparison to Cleveland, like we mentioned before. So it's just a tough matchup for them, man. But, definitely a successful season. Even if they go out on 5 games, I don't think really many people had them even making it this far.
Yeah, this is going to be a really interesting what's next for the Knicks if we end up doing that type of segment next week. Just because this era started with Randall and Barrett as the top 2 guys. And I'm looking at how would this team be best suited moving forward? And I'm like, are one or both of them just kind of expendable at this point? Do you even need them around long term for this team to be as good as it can be? And I don't know the answer to that question because I just see them not only in their first playoff run, but in this playoff run. And I'm just I don't know. But also, would they get anything better than that? So it's an interesting question to ask.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. The good thing for them is they do have a lot of first-round pick flexibility. I think they still have a couple of extra ones kicking around alongside most of their own. So they do have a lot of flexibility in the trade market, and they can pretty much match any salaries they want, whether it's in an RJ Barrett trade, whether it's in a Julius Randle trade, because that Evan Fournier contract still exists. And as much as that's not a favorable contract, there is only 1 year left of team control. And combine that with Randall or Barrett's salary, and you're matching salaries for any star. So they have the means to make the trade pretty easily. And as much as people have concerns about, like, is Julius Randle's contract bad? He's only making $25.6 million next year, which for a guy who's been as productive as he has in today's NBA is not absurd. And it's not amazing, but it's not terrible value, especially if you just look at the regular season production. And RJ Barrett's set to make $24 million next year, which again is not amazing value, but is not absolutely outrageous either. So they have some flexibility there. So they'll definitely be a team to look at if a Kawhi or a Paul George becomes available via trade. That's potentially the team that you could look to see make a move to pair along Jalen Brunson. So they'll definitely be a team that'll be interesting to see actually truly have a chance at potentially making one of those trades, not just being in the rumors because it's the Knicks.
Yeah, having options is definitely a good thing. So it's good. It's good that they got that flexibility. They also got like some maybe young pieces, like if like a really big level star does become available too. So they got a lot of wiggle room to get better. Not just hopefully they just don't regress like they did last time. But this front office has made some like very sound decisions, I would say, since like the new regimes come in. So I got faith that they'll make the right decisions when the time comes. But hopefully they don't just try and do something for the sake of doing it, like just making a bad trade that's not really making them that much better. But maybe it's like a big name, but an older guy or something like that.
Yeah, I would not want to see this team in like the Dame sweepstakes or anything. I think if they were going to target any kind of player, it probably have to be like a star type wing, maybe ship out like either one or both of RJ and Julius Randle. And then you still have like Josh Hart in the rotation, maybe Obi Toppin moves up depending on like what position the guy they would play at mainly. And then, if he's going to play like how he's playing in this playoffs, I don't even mind Mitchell Robinson as the starting center moving forward. Like, I think people were like, based on like his foul trouble, but he's impressed me enough to say, unless like somebody really good becomes available, he's cool there.
He can stay healthy and just keep it, because he's still super young too. Like, health is really the main thing with him, just being on the court, like you said, with the foul trouble and stuff. Because in this playoff run, he's been really good, very, very productive for them for sure.
Yeah, that's definitely been good enough to continue being their starting center of the future. Still got Miles McBride, Quentin Grimes, and quickly sitting around the fringes that can still young guys that are going to continue to develop, still under contract for a couple of years. So they got a lot of upside still. Like you guys said, they just need to make the right decisions this offseason to hopefully remain competitive heading into next season and not slip back like they did a couple of years ago. Let's move to the other Eastern Conference series with Tyrik's Boston Celtics against the Philadelphia 76ers. They suffered a quick scare early when James Harden had one of his best playoff performances of his career in Game 1, but it looks like Boston have taken control of this series back from Philly pretty quick. I'll get your thoughts first on it, Tyrik, but I'd imagine you feel pretty confident about your Celtics moving forward for the rest of this one.
Yeah, definitely feeling good. That's why, we recorded our last episode, right after Game 1. And that's why I tried to, really refrain myself from, talking about it too much, because I feel like everything was just strictly off of emotion. Mazzulla made his adjustments. He played Rob a little more. He didn't play Grant really much in Game 1. He's been really big in this series, especially with Embiid coming back. He's definitely been really solid against Embiid in those switches, making it tough for him just to even catch the ball at the high post. So Grant's had another really good second round series. Al Horford shot the ball well in Game 3 better. I think he made more threes than he did in Games 1 and 2 combined. And Jaylen Brown I think it's a combination of him taking Harden out of his element and James Harden just losing his confidence, or maybe just trying to defer too much. Maybe he's out of gas. I don't know. But what we saw in Game 3, James Harden was passing up floaters, which he's made a living off of over the last decade. Layups, he was getting in the paint, but was not even looking to score. And it was almost like Ben Simmons, we've seen Harden have playoff games like this, but this was really bad. He was getting to the cup and not even trying to finish. It was just one of the most bizarre things I've seen. But I think we kind of like expected Boston to be the better team, even as good as Philly has been this season. We just always said like sometimes teams really just got your number, and I think this is just another case of the Celtics had Philly's number. And even though Game 3 was not like an amazing offensive performance from the Celtics, Tatum hit some clutch shots, Brown had a good stretch. It was really just Philly was not able to capitalize on any opportunities, and it was a lot of Joel Embiid, save us. Maxey didn't have a great game. Tobias did not shoot the ball really at all. And it was really Embiid and like the Anthony Melton. Those have been the two guys for most of the series. So I guess it's expected. Didn't think that this is how we would get to a 2-1 series, chance to go up 3-1, but it's looking good for the Celtics, I'll say that much.
Yeah. I mean, I'm the guy who predicted Celtics in 4. So I can't say I'm too surprised that Boston started to take control. It took like 2018 James Harden coming out for the Sixers to win by 4 points in game 1. So after seeing that, I was like, okay, I'll live with that. My prediction might be wrong, but I'm like, we're not getting that again. Even if Embiid's in the game, like that James Harden performance was just special. So I was cool. And they went into game 2, and it's like you can just tell Boston is a way better team. Game 2, Jason Tatum had 7 points, and Boston won by 1 million. Like, I never really expected it to be that close because while Philly has a lot of names, it's kind of like a souped-up version of the Knicks where, like, outside of Embiid, I don't trust anybody to get the job done in the playoffs consistently. Whereas on Boston, most of the guys on the team, I'm like, okay, like, I don't think they'll, like, shy away from the moment. Like, you've got some good Derek White moments. You've got some solid Smart moments. Grant Williams has come in, been good. Like, guys besides just the Jays have been real solid. And we mentioned, like, D'Anthony Melton, but guys like Tobias, guys like Tyrese Maxey, like, they haven't really been too big of factors in this series so far. And I kind of expected that. Like, Tyrese Maxey was really good in the first round last year, but then you didn't really hear about it much in the second round. And I know I keep calling him a first-round merchant, but it's kind of true. It's kind of true. Like, he hasn't had that same impact, and I just think it's the same old story for Philly. I never really expected them to break through that glass ceiling, which is why, like, way earlier in the season when we were, like, ranking contenders, I felt like them and Cleveland were kind of close because I didn't really expect either of them to get there. And while Cleveland was even worse than I thought, now here's Philly, and it's just exactly what I thought it would be. I can't really say I have any surprises from this series.
Yeah, it's definitely a situation where, like you say, other than Embiid, Philly do not have anyone you're depending on regularly. And like you say, Tyrik, I don't know if it's the defense of the Celtics. I don't know if it's Harden and nagging injuries. I don't know if it's he was loving the 7+ days of rest he had going into game 1, and now the limited rest relatively compared to that for games 2 and game 3 is throwing him off. Who knows what it is, but he hasn't looked like the same player since then. And like you alluded to as well, Gabe, Maxey just hasn't looked the same since round 1. Funnily enough, there's probably an argument to give Tobias Harris some more opportunities on this team because he's actually been really good for them in his limited opportunities this postseason. He's now at a point where he's shooting over 55% from the field and 48% from deep. Given that's because it's been on limited opportunities and a lot of those looks have been efficient, but they're not exactly getting much from Maxey consistently right now. There's probably an argument to get Tobias some more looks. There's probably an argument to get some looks away from Harden if he's going to be settling for some poor step back threes and not looking to be aggressive when he gets to the paint. So they're in an interesting situation to figure out where they get consistent production outside of Embiid, but a lot of it's just coming from the fact that as much as Boston's offense gets a lot of the talk and a great 3-point shooting team, their defense is just outrageous. I mean, specifically against Philly, they match up well with the fact that you have Al Horford and Robert Williams that you can throw on him. Hopefully, Robert Williams is healthy moving forward, and he continues to be an important part for the Celtics. But when you have those two guys you can throw on, and when you have Grant Williams who can come in and give some help on Embiid, when you have switchable guards who can at least fight well in the paint amongst the best in the league alongside Drew Holiday with the likes of Derek White and Marcus Smart, there's just so much versatility on the Celtics defense that just wows me every time I watch this team, specifically in the postseason. Now, of course, I'd be the guy to get wowed by defense, but that's how good the Celtics are on the defensive end. The offense as offenses are always going to be a bit hit and miss. There's always going to be some off shooting nights. But that's what really makes the Celtics team scary to me, is just how good they are defensively, how much versatility they have, how good pretty much everyone who ever sees the floor for the Celtics team is on the defensive end, with Sam Hauser at times being a bit of the exception, although it seems like, at least for this series, that's being phased out of the rotation, which for matchups makes sense, and as well as Grant Williams has been playing, probably makes sense moving forward as well. So as long as the Celtics keep up that defensive intensity and that defensive impact, which I see no reason why it won't continue, they're going to comfortably beat Philly, and they're going to be a nightmare for any other team's offense to figure out, either in the conference finals or in the finals if they get there.
It's funny we were talking about this series like it's over. When Philly could easily, play the best game of their season and win tonight, and it's 2-2. But it does have that feel like it's 2-1, but it feels like it's 3-0 at this point. Definitely feels a little dead in the water for Philly. But they do have the MVP, so maybe there's always a chance. But I wouldn't really count on it, especially with Doc Rivers over there. His coaching woes in the postseason.
Yeah, I think that's kind of one of the biggest reasons why we think it's trending toward being over, because, game 1 wasn't a dominant win. And then, game 2 and 3, like, Celtics got out pretty clean. And if there's one thing that people are not high on Doc Rivers about, it's adjustments. And so when you're down like this and it's like, oh, yeah, now you got to adjust or you're finished, I just don't expect that out of him to really come back and make this go like 7. I mean, the Celtics just – I just think that lineup is too good. You got 8 guys on the court that can play good defense. Most of them can shoot, even if a couple might have an off night. Like, it's just offense and defense, both sides of the ball, kind of like what you guys were saying. It's just a case of a better team.
Definitely. If Al Horford keeps shooting the way he did in Game 3, then this series is definitely good. Because he hit like some big shots, like to end the half, to start the half. Hit one in the fourth quarter, which like stopped the Philly run. Like games 1 and 2, like he wasn't hitting shots, he was taking them, but was not hitting. I think it was like 2 of 13 those first 2 games. But if he can stretch the floor out and like make Embiid respect him, Brown, Tatum, those guys, even Smart, like they're getting to the rim at will. Like it's just Embiid's presence down there is really like making them defer, kick out a lot more. But if Horford keeps hitting shots, it's probably we're going to see that Celtics offense pick up a little more like it was in Game 2.
Definitely. Al Horford definitely took it personal when those reporters were laughing at him for saying he was an elite shooter, because, hey, you might not traditionally think of it with Al Horford, but he is a significantly improved three-point shooter over the course of his career, and he showed that in Game 3, no doubt about it. When you just consider the fact of how many guys can shoot the three as well as they can on the Celtics roster, and how many guys are so impactful on the defensive end, they're one of the most difficult teams to stop, because whatever way you game plan, you're giving up something. And most of those things you're giving up are usually pretty productive. It's not like if you're Cleveland, okay, let's make Isaac Okoro shoot threes and Evan Mobley beat us on the offensive end. For the Celtics, it's, okay, let's make Lord knows who be the guy you're picking on defense, because everyone's good defensively. And on the offensive end, it's like, okay, let's make Marcus Smart, Al Horford, and Derek White beat us, who are all really good three-point shooters the majority of the time. It's such a tough thing to figure out for opposing teams, and it's like we've been saying, it's the reason why the Celtics are, at least we feel, going to comfortably move through the second round against Philly, even though they're only up 2-1. They just look to be such a better team than a team in Philly who is a good team. They're just nowhere near the elite level that Boston are. Well, that'll bring us to the Golden State Warriors against the LA Lakers, which definitely has an argument for being the most intriguing second round series, and one to me that has been a bit of a chess match from 2 coaches, one on the other end who's a former champion as a player and a coach, and one on the other end who's just getting started but looks like he is very comfortable even in his first postseason in the playoffs. I'll start with you, Gabe. How do you feel so far about this series between the Lakers and the Golden State Warriors?
Yeah, I predicted this one would go deep. I think I had Lakers in 7 when we did our second round predictions. And so far it's really living up to that. It's given the vibes of the classic Cavs Warriors series, those Curry versus LeBron series, where it's like, oh, Like those first two, like they went kind of deep, but a lot of those games were just blowouts. And so far, we had a good game one, but then after that, we had two blowouts. And I think that's kind of the nature of these teams, especially the Lakers' new core with a lot more shooting. And then the Warriors, we know they built their identity on shooting. It's like if you have an on night and you can just make it rain, yeah, you're going to keep pouring it on, and the game can get out of hand quickly. Same time, if you're off and the other team's on, I think that's just kind of the nature of the game and the way these teams play. It's really just game by game. Like it's hard to predict because these games were so like lopsided in opposite directions that it's like just off a 3-game sample size of one that was close and two that weren't. It's really right in the middle of like what will continue for the next 4 and what won't. If I had to make a prediction, like based off what's happened so far, I would probably be betting more on the Lakers. And I think it's because when we talked about this series coming into it, we said, oh, we're probably more confident with the others on the Lakers, but it's more the stars on the Warriors that we trust because LeBron and AD were a bit inconsistent. And I think LeBron has been good enough so far. Not like great all-time, like classic LeBron, but he's been like good enough, especially game 3. He had a better game, like shooting the ball and everything. And then the real key here is just AD's consistency. If he can not do this thing that he's been doing this postseason run where he has like 30 and then he has like 11 and then he has like 35 and then he has like 16. If we can just get like 2 or 3 back-to-back good games from AD, I think the Lakers could take care of business pretty effectively because I know Curry's going to be good and Klay had like his good game in game 2, but I don't know if their other guys are going to step enough to really take games if AD and LeBron both play well with this consistent supporting cast.
Yeah, I feel like the trust in the Warrior stars is really just the trust in Steph Curry. And Lakers have done a really good job guarding Steph Curry, giving him different looks. Like in game 3, I think they started with like D'Angelo Russell guarding him, and Vanderbilt has like gotten the majority of the Steph Curry assignment. But D'Lo was doing a good job chasing him around. He also had a really good offensive game too. So I agree with you, Gabe. Like we have a lot more trust in like the supporting cast of the Lakers, even though D'Lo gets like a lot of, I would say, flack on Twitter from Laker fans sometimes when he's not playing well. In this series, he's been very solid, been, a good shot maker, playmaking pretty decently. Has defended pretty well, I would say, when he's gotten on those Steph Curry matchups. Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura had like a really good game. So we trust the others a lot more. And like Jared Vanderbilt defensively, we trust them a lot more than what we're going to get from even the Warriors' second best offensive player in Klay Thompson. Like we don't really trust what we're going to get from Klay night in and night out. And that's why like it is boding well for the Lakers. And I think the most important piece is like they hang their hat on the defensive side of the floor now. Like this, they're getting back to their roots when they were, looked at as a championship team when they won the championship in the bubble, the 2021 season. Like this team was one of the best defensive teams, and they've looked like that in this series for the most part, and in this postseason run too. So I trust their defense a lot more. That's why I would agree with Gabe. Like it's looking like they could take care of business. This game 4 is going to be like very critical. Like this is one of the like most must-win games that we've seen Golden State in. But one thing that they've shown us over the last couple postseasons, when they're faced with a must-win situation, that's when we see the best from them, especially Steph Curry. So I'm excited to see that. But this has been even though a couple games have been blowouts, it's been good to see like the different adjustments that have been made, especially like how you mentioned Dev, like Darvin Ham. This is his first like postseason as a head coach, and he's definitely answered the call, and he's really coached very well.
Yeah, he definitely has. It's been very neat to see in his first postseason all the different looks he's been able to give from Steph, from who's been guarding him, from Jared Vanderbilt to D'Angelo Russell with some time on him, from Austin Reeves with some time on him, to how they're dealing with pick and roll coverage, to mixing it up with some drop coverage, and AD stepping up more in the later parts of game 3. So they've been making sure that Steph doesn't know what's coming, and that's been very important for them. Similarly, the Warriors have been doing the same thing with how they involve Steph, with how often they're using their pick and rolls, whether they're not going to the pick and roll, whether Curry's more on ball or off ball. They've been mixing things up a lot as well. It's been a really interesting coaches matchup, and it'll be interesting to see how that gets adjusted into game 4 in a game, like you say, where they need to come out with a good game plan to make sure that they can tie this one up so the Lakers don't go up 3-1 in this one, because otherwise things could get rough. Even though the Warriors would be going back home, you never want to be down 3-1, even though the Warriors have been in pretty much every situation imaginable. That's just not a position you want to be put in. Curry's been fine. He definitely hasn't been elite as he has been, but a large part of that has just been due to the fact that the Lakers' defense has been so good. And like you guys alluded to, the Lakers role players just continue to do their thing. They continue to do enough. Some nights it's Rui, some nights it's Reeves. Dennis Schroeder and Lonnie Walker had better game threes than they've had throughout any of their postseasons so far this year. So they just continue to have guys step up and give them something on the offensive end. LeBron looked the most engaged in all facets of the game. He's probably looked all postseason in game 3, making some good defensive plays and transition and getting to the rim and pushing the pace a little bit more than he has on the regular. So that was nice to see. Obviously, seeing how much he can continue that at that rate and how his body holds up and his fitness holds up over the rest of the series, if he has to continue to compete at that level, is the big question. That even though it is LeBron, still at his age, he's not exactly a young kid on the block anymore. So that's something we have to consider. But like you alluded to, Gabe, the biggest thing that's going to continue to matter for the Lakers is just how good AD is. And defensively, that's not a question. He's been elite, and he's continuing to show that he's the best defensive player in basketball right now. It's just offensively, do you get the game 1 and game 2 variant, or do you get the game 3 version? And if you get even half or 75% of what you're getting in game 3 and getting him at 24, 25, 26 a night, and he can just continue to be elite defensively, this Lakers team is going to be tough for anyone to beat. And as long as they keep up the team unit of defense that they have and continue with their adjustments, which Darvin Ham seems to be no reason to believe that he won't continue that at this point, they're going to be tough for anyone to beat for the Warriors for the rest of this series or anyone else they face moving forward, because like you alluded to, Tyrik, they're bought back into the defensive end, and when this team is bought in defensively, they're going to be a very tough beat for anyone.
Yeah, I think another thing that's kind of underrated with this team that I don't really see a lot of people talking about is this postseason, nobody's came into LA and won. Like, they won their play-in game at home, and then they won 3, 4, and 6 against Memphis, and then they just won 3 against the Warriors. So this is probably the most must-win game for Golden State, because it's proven that beating the Lakers at home is a very tough task. And honestly, where the Warriors probably lucked out the most is just the fact that the Lakers were so bad for the first half of the regular season, because if the Lakers were a good enough team all year to have like a home court advantage, they're looking scary at crypto. I mean, that's like 5-0, so not the biggest sample size in the world, but the Warriors better hope that they can continue what they did in that Kings series and take a couple road games away, because I'm still not completely sold on this home away thing with Golden State. They get it enough, but a little bit of questions. And when a team's undefeated at home and they stole home court from you, you got some work to do.
Wouldn't it be funny if like Golden State went down 3-1 and got their get back on LeBron?
He's finished. You got to retire after that, man.
That would be like in the script, man. Like, I would have to look at the NBA a little different with that.
That would be crazy.
But I got to bet with my dad. We better be here in this series, because he really wants to see the Warriors just finish. And I don't know. I picked Golden State coming into the series, so I got to stick with my pick.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be an interesting one to see play out. I think it's definitely the most interesting second round series to see progress moving forward. Even if the Lakers win game 4, it's still the Warriors. I don't think anyone's going to completely write them out, even down 3-1. And when you look across the rest of the second round series, I mean, we just discussed them all. We feel pretty good about the Celtics winning. We feel pretty good about the Heat winning, and we don't trust in the Suns right now. So this is definitely the second round series to watch heading into game 4.
Definitely. It's crazy at this point. Like, there's only 4 series like left to talk about. When we started with like playing, and then particularly like all 8 first round matchups, like we're getting to the point where we're gonna have days where there's no basketball on. I hate that.
Yeah, it's always a weird time of the postseason.
It's gone real quick too. I feel like a lot of those first round series, looking at them like, oh, like Cavs Knicks, like that'll go deep. We'll have a lot of time to watch that. Like some of those series like that, it's like, oh, like this might go a while. You know, like, oh, Suns Clippers, like, oh, this might be a deep series. Like this might be cool. But then they end a little bit sooner than we think they will, and it's got us to this point where, yeah, like it's all almost over. Which makes me happy though that this round 2 every series is 2-1 right now. I kind of want to see them all go 2-2 because that means we'll get as much games as possible for as long as possible. And even despite the fact that we're calling like some of these series over, like a lot of these games have been close. Like the series that we're saying is the closest, like Golden State and the Lakers, that game has 2 blowouts. Like we said, Miami's pretty much got it under control, and most of those games have been pretty close. So it is kind of weird how like our feelings on series versus like the quality of the games and how close the games have been aren't always aligned.
Yeah, that's just the nature of the NBA today, though. Like, especially when you consider the 3-point shooting volume of some of these teams, like it's just going to happen. You got some nights where a team shows up, another team doesn't. One team's hitting from 3, and the other team isn't, and it's pretty easy to get a 15 or 20-point lead relatively quickly. Whereas the Suns and Clippers, or the Suns and Nuggets, I should say, especially when you look at the Suns side of things, are just not a heavy 3-point shooting volume team. So the Suns usually aren't going to have terrible shooting nights. They also really aren't going to have amazing shooting nights. And Denver are usually pretty consistent on offense. So that's just the nature of teams that are less likely to be subjected to such a blowout. So there's a lot of variables that go into that. But it's definitely an interesting thing now where we can have those types of series where there's a blowout on either extreme. And it's like, yeah, it's a good competitive series. Whereas 15 years ago, if such a series was like that, it'd be like, it just wouldn't happen. Like it'd be very rare to see a game 2 to game 3 switch that goes from one team winning by 20 to another team winning by 20. It's such an outlier now, or would have been such an outlier back then compared to where it is now with how the game has evolved over the last 10 to 15 years.
Yeah, we don't get those 85 to 89 basketball games anymore, sadly. Except, I mean, game 2 of Nuggets Suns was like, I guess that was low scoring. It's like, what, like 94-87 or something like that? Like,
yeah, that's about as low scored as you're going to get.
Right.
Yeah. Even like all the Heat Knicks games have felt pretty low scoring because these days, like 105 is kind of low scoring. Like just because every game feels like it's like 120 to 125. So
Yeah.
a team where like any game where both teams finish under 110, I'm like, oh, that's like a solid defensive game in 2023. And
Which,
like, yeah.
It's so funny because we say that, and it's like I remember back when I would just first start watching the Raptors, and they'd had the graphics of the teams of our record whenever we held teams under 100, and it's like how commonly do you hold the team under 100 now and win? Like you wouldn't have enough for a stat for that to make it be meaningful. Whereas back then you could have like a double digit number record for that type of stat, and now it just wouldn't happen. But back in the day, that was a real thing, and you'd be 60 games into a season, it's like, man, there's another bad defensive night, and we're picking up another L. But yeah, it just doesn't exist anymore.
I think it might have been the Lakers. I don't know where I saw the stat. I think they haven't won a game when they haven't scored like 100 points or something. But I didn't even see how big the sample size was. Like it probably was like 7 games or something like that. Like to be completely honest.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, now scoring 100 points is rare these days, but the Lakers' offense at the beginning of the season was like bad enough where they might have done it a couple times.
Yeah, they probably did early.
That's when they were shooting like 43s a game, looking like 6.
Back when they were relying on Matt Ryan. Those are some dark days. I forget where he is now. I feel like he's somewhere on a 2-way, but
Minnesota.
For some reason, it is. Yeah, it's Minnesota on the 2-way. I was flipping through contracts the other day, and I thought I saw his name somewhere.
Matty Ice. Coming from the Saints fan, that's kind of crazy, man. I don't know. It is crazy. It's the part of the season where there's not a lot of basketball talk to have. It's like we've seen like 8 games since our last pod.
It's definitely thin. We're getting to that point in the season where the next month and a bit we'll have very little live basketball, and there'll be more to talk about at the start of June through the middle of June than there will be for probably the next month and a half, just like you say, due to those scarcity of games.
It's fun to start doing draft research. I don't know, like anything.
Yeah, that's we're definitely getting to that time. Once I start hitting the road in a couple of weeks for work, that'll definitely be the vibe. I got deep dives to work on, and I got draft research to do. It's that time of year.
Oh yeah, I saw Deep Dive Dev is coming out, man.
Yeah, I've spent too much time this weekend doing research, to be honest. The what's next videos have not gotten the attention they deserve, but that's okay. The passion is somewhere. But I think that does lead us to everyone's favorite Jeopardy host.
Oh baby,
Jeopardy 50 minutes into crazy.
Oh man, today it's a great day, man, because today probably will not be the most difficult Jeopardy you've all done, and that's because I just try to make it kind of fun. I'm like, there's a couple concepts I got that I want to do, but today's Jeopardy is going to be, if I can share my screen. Today is Guess the NBA player by their accolades. And so I got it pretty split up here by decades. So that way it's like, you'll see these accolades and, it might say like, 6-time All-Star, like 5-time All-NBA. And it'll have more than like just those two things. But like, if you saw stuff like that, there's like a million players who could be like, a 6-time All-Star. So splitting it up into decades should narrow it down a little bit more. Now, obviously, the main caveat here is that some players played in multiple decades, but for the most part, it's like where their prime was. Now, I will say for some people who have like super long primes, you got to just think of like when their peak was. And if that's when their peak was, that's probably the decade they'll be under. And that's not really going to come up much for like 80s and 90s, I feel like. I think that'll be more like 2000s, 2010s, and 2020s. And the 2020 section might be the one that looks like the thinnest, just because people who are like good enough now, but I don't want to consider them on 2010s, everybody's going to be a little bit younger. So that's where we're at with it. But I think this can be pretty fun, man. I think you guys will probably get most of them, but I threw a couple in here that kind of threw me for a loop. There were some that were so hard, I even had to put like a year on one of the accolades. So I'm like, at least you guys have somewhat of a chance.
Okay.
With that being said, though, we'll give champions advantage, and I think our undefeated champion can have the board first.
Real quick, Dev, are we live right now?
Yes, we are.
I don't know why I don't see it on YouTube.
No? I'll do a quick check here. We're supposed to be. Let's check.
I just people that didn't get the notice, and I checked YouTube.
Videos live. Oh, I didn't change it to public. That's why. Forgot to do that once I put the thumbnail in.
Showing up to the room.
Now we should be there.
I was gonna say I haven't heard any comments from Garrett yet, man.
That's what made me think of it. And I'm like, let me go check and see if there's any comments.
That's just too early for Garrett. He's not used to the early schedule.
He's not gonna ask for an official league review, man.
I was gonna say this would be a great, especially with the 80s. With Garrett, you'd have to go back to like the 50s, though.
Yeah, that'd be.
We don't talk about cocaine basketball, man. That's why we started at the 80s when they actually started playing good basketball. Only caveat is there are a couple ABA accolades in the 80s section It makes sense.
Keep that
It's
in
no
mind.
like every player there, you know who they are.
All right. Well, let's go 90s for 300. Yeah.
90s for 300. Okay.
Ooh,
Just a reminder to buzz in whenever you got it. I like that it's not instant.
yeah.
No, you definitely ain't getting instant from me on the 80s and 90s. I'm gonna be honest. Maybe
I'm a
history knowledge might get exposed.
Is that a buzz, Tyrik?
Yeah, I don't know if this guy was even a six man at any point in his career. We'll go with John Starks.
John Starks is a phenomenal guess. However, as we know from the Jeopardy host, Devin, a great guess does not mean a correct answer.
I figured. That's just the only player that's coming to mind from the fucking 90s.
Yeah, this is tough.
He was the only two-time Sixth Man of the Year of the 90s, so that's what – it's not one of those situations where this could apply to multiple people.
Okay. Trying to think of who might have been sixth men back then, but '96 men.
It's weighing on him.
That's a tough one.
You don't know any like
Honest,
2K
that's a
legends
tough
from the
one.
90s? I know you said you're not big on the 90s, but
Not really. I'm gonna be honest. I don't really know, so I know it's not right. But just give me Steve Kerr just for an answer.
it is not Steve Kerr. The answer is Detlef Schrempf.
I'm gonna be honest. No disrespect to the man, but I have never heard that man's name in my life.
Really? You don't know about Detlef?
I've never heard that man's name in my life.
No way.
Supersonic fans are mad at us
Yeah.
right now. When it was Seattle,
That would have been like one of the closest teams to you, man.
I
Disrespectful.
hadn't even been in the womb yet. Come on now.
Fair enough. Well, that does bring it back to the undisputed Universal Champion.
let's go 90s for 200.
Okay. All right.
Are these career accolades or for that decade?
Career accolades.
Okay. Oh, Buzz.
All right, Tyrik.
It's gotta be Drain.
You said Hakeem?
Yeah.
It's a good guess, but it's incorrect.
That's tough. That would have been my guess too. That was the first name that came to mind.
Ooh, I have another guess.
If I had to guess, I would assume Hakeem probably has more than 10 All-Star selections. Came in like 85, and he was still prime, so maybe like 98, 99.
Maybe.
Yeah. Two-time champion. One-time MVP. I'm going to buzz and say David Robinson.
Good fucking guess.
And the points come on the board.
Good
Yeah,
guess.
just to check, Hakeem is a 12-time All-Star, so a little bit more. I think he also has 2 depoys.
Okay.
And I'm assuming Jordan was the Rookie of the Year that year.
That's true.
Yeah,
They were the same draft.
Probably.
So the board goes to the man who runs the NBA.
Okay, let's get 90s 100 done.
Okay.
Buzz.
Tyrik.
Scottie Pippen.
Good reading. I put Scottie because I thought people were going to see 90s for 100, see 6-time champ, and instantly buzz and say Michael Jordan. So I thought I might be able to pull a fast one, but
Nah, once I've seen him 7 times, I got it.
That's what I was like. Yeah, there's only like 2 6-time champs in the decade, so still easy, but didn't want to make it too free.
Surprised he only made 2. I mean, 7 All-Star games. Thought it would be more.
Yeah.
Let's keep it up with the 90s. Let's go 90s for 4.
Gotcha. 90s for 4.
One-time West champion. So what? He made the finals once.
Made the finals once. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I felt like just the 6-time and the 3-time were like that wasn't enough.
Yeah.
It's still hard, but
should have put up like his fucking stats or something.
Well, see, that's not accolades though. Like that's stats. I think there's only one player on here who has a stat, and it's in 2020s because like those guys are so young that you don't got nothing else to put.
One-time West champion.
Almost. I'm a buzz.
Okay.
Is it Sean Kemp?
It's a W pool. That's a W pool by the man who knows hoops.
I was just thinking of guys that only made the finals once in the 90s, and I just assumed Gary Payne had more All NBA appearances than 3. Just assumed.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of that. Like, if you got like a significantly more All Star appearances than All NBA, then it's like All Star, but like a lower tier All Star.
Yeah, Kemp was good. He was really good. Let's just finish off the 90s, man.
A bunch of 90s wins right here, man.
One-time All-Star, 3-time champion. Oh, what's the name I'm thinking of?
A 3-time champion and a 1-time All-Star in 1994. So he hit his peak in the middle of the decade.
Oh, what's my man's name?
Buzz.
Tyrik.
This could be really bad, but is it Ron Harper?
Ron Harper is actually, I'm not even joking. That's a great guess, but that is incorrect.
That is a great guess. That's the name I was looking for.
I would have thought Ron Harper would have had more than one All-Star appearance, to be honest, because he was him on the Clippers. Ron Harper's a 0-time All-Star.
Oh.
That's crazy, actually.
He's also a 5-time champ.
Okay.
He did win a couple with the Lakers. That was a bad guess.
Yeah, that's true. 3-time champ, 1-time All-Star. See, I thought it was going to be Ron Harper too, so now I'm stumped.
I don't even know who else it would be.
That's a great guess because how many players won 3 championships or more?
Oh, I know who it is.
Like that's what I'm saying. Like 90s, like it's a 500, but like you have a select pool of players of who won 3 titles in the 90s.
90s, 3-time champ, 1 All-Star game. That's a tough one. That's a tough one. I don't think I'm going to get a better guess, so I'm just going to buzz in.
Okay.
I don't remember. I could be exposing myself here. I don't remember if he was with the first set of Bulls titles or the second set, but I'm going to go with Bill Cartwright.
That is incorrect. However, you guys were on the right track. It was a Bulls player. It was BJ because Michael Jordan retired.
Right.
Somebody had to step up with Scotty. And it was BJ Armstrong.
Right. Okay.
So the board stays with Reek.
I need to stop buzzing so quick, bro. I really thought that was Ron Harper, and I'm looking. I'm like,
yeah, that's why I put 94 because I thought that was the giveaway. Like if like Jordan retired and the Bulls were still good because Scotty was an All-Star, then BJ.
Let's go 2000s for 3.
2000s for 3, the middle of the board.
2 MVP, 2 times, 3 times 5 MVP.
Tyrik.
Wait. I'm pump
He's
faking.
pump faking?
Yes.
Two-time MVP, 15 times all defense.
Just kidding. I am buzzing in.
He's back?
Yes.
Okay. You buzz.
Or is
What's your
he?
guess? You buzz.
I think you're not listing his championships for a reason.
Yeah, that's the thing that's sketching me out.
Well, you know he has at least 3 rings because he has 3 Finals MVPs.
Right.
But like for a 300, I don't know. I feel like amounts of championships with 3 Finals MVPs, like that makes it a little bit too obvious.
Yeah, like the only person I could think that is making that many all defensive teams is Tim Duncan himself. So I'm gonna go with Tim Duncan.
It's a good thing you did.
Yeah, like who else is making 15? I was gonna say Kobe, but I'm like, no, Kobe don't got 3 Finals MVPs. Got 2. And he don't got 2 MVPs. So yeah, Tim is the only guy that makes sense. And Kobe was like an 18-time All-Star or something like that.
Yeah.
Same in the 2000s. Let's go for 400 though this time.
Okay.
MIP. Ooh, okay.
I think this is one of the harder pools. That's why I put the year because I know for a fact you guys don't know who won Most Improved Player in 2004.
Yeah, no shot.
It's funny because on 2K I used to go back and look at like all of the old award winners, but I'm not a 2K player anymore, so I don't do that.
1-time All-NBA, 2-time All-Star.
Only thing I can guarantee is you guys know who he is.
Well, I would hope so. At least
Yeah,
I was out of the womb in this era. I should know who these guys are.
I should know who he is, but do I?
Yeah, for real.
No,
That's the question.
Y'all could never forget him.
I have somebody in mind, but I just feel like one, I don't know if his most improved was this early. 2, I feel like he would have made more All-Star games than just 2.
That's the thing. Trying to think of guys who only made 2 All-Star teams is tough. It's a broad list of dudes.
And not this guy. No way he didn't make All-NBA one of the seasons because he was really good.
I don't know who you guys are talking about, so I cannot confirm nor deny.
This is tough.
I'm simply the neutral host who does know all the answers.
I low-key want a hint, but I have a question.
Yeah.
I can answer questions if Devin allows it.
I'm not completely against a hint either, to be honest.
Was he an All-Star and MIP on the same team? Like for the same organization?
Let me check that actually. Was he on this team yet? He was not an All-Star and an MIP for the same organization.
I'm throwing my guess out there, man.
Okay.
It's actually.
He's pump faking again. You can't keep doing this, bro. If you buzz,
This is crazy.
Since when? We always allow pump fakes.
I know, but you're
Yeah,
pump
but
faking like every question, bro.
Last time's pump fake was about 45 seconds long.
All right. I'm going with No Chill Gilbert Arenas. That's my guess.
Gilbert Arenas is incorrect.
Okay.
It's a good guess.
Gilbert Arenas is a 3-time All-Star, 3-time All-NBA. I'm looking up all incorrect guesses just so I make sure you guys don't give me somebody that might have the exact same accolades.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I feel like I'd be inclined to still give you the points.
Yeah.
If you got the right player, there's just 2 players that qualified.
I think he won Most Improved too.
He won Most Improved in 2003, so you were very close.
I was right there,
crazy.
man. I knew I was in the same ballpark, bro. And that's why I asked that question because I know he won it in Golden State. So that's why I asked that question.
That's crazy. I don't really have a good guess here. This is probably way out to lunch. I'm going to go with Baron Davis.
Baron Davis is incorrect, but we all know this man. Zach Randolph.
He's only a 2-time All-Star?
Oh,
I mean, he was playing in the Western Conference with Dirk, Tim Duncan, Kevin Garnett. He didn't make any All-Star teams until Garnett went to the Celtics, I don't think.
That's tough.
His first was in 2010, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. It just seems low for him.
Did he win it with the Knicks or the Blazers? He might have still been.
I believe it was the Blazers.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah,
I don't remember him winning Most Improved. You learn something new every day, I guess. So I still have the board correct.
Yes.
Let's go 2000s for 500.
A tough one.
1-time sixth man, all rookie, 2-time All-Star.
All-Stars.
That are 4 years apart.
That's crazy.
Who was winning only 1 sixth man back then?
And he was an All-Star 4 years apart.
No, that's too early for him. Keep thinking of late 2000s guys, not early 2000s.
1 6 man of the year. No, it's not.
I guess technically it would be 2005 and 2008 because he was All-Star 04, 05, and 07, 08. Just
Okay.
not leading.
That helps so much.
I didn't want you guys to guess somebody, and then it's like,
Yeah.
CYA.
We understand.
We appreciate the effort to avoid the allegations this time around.
1-time 6 man of the year. That All-Star gap is just like throwing me for a loop.
Yeah, that's a tough one. You do not feel confident about this.
Would you guys like a hint?
I'm down with Devin.
Yeah, I'm good with a hint.
His prime was as an Eastern Conference forward.
As an Eastern Conference forward. Sixth man of the year. Eastern forward winning 6th man of the year. That feels so uncommon now. Okay. I'm going to buzz.
Gotcha.
I don't feel good about this one. I'm going to say Jerry Stackhouse.
Jerry Stackhouse is a solid guess, but not the right answer.
That's a tough one. It's a good one, though.
There's only one guy that's coming to mind, but I just
Jerry Stackhouse, actually, funnily enough.
2 All-Stars and an All-Rookie,
Yeah. However, he was never 6th man of the year, and his All-Star appearances were about 4 and 8 years too early.
Bit early. Yeah. Okay.
I don't know if he would have qualified for the 90s or the 2000s list because his All-Star appearances were right on the border.
Yeah, he would have been a tough one. And he played for more of the 2000s, so maybe the 2000s, but
I also would not
he
consider
started
him a
hotter
forward.
in the 90s. Yeah,
I
that's
feel like I consider him more of a shooting guard, but he's listed as both in different years on Basketball Reference.
Yeah. I don't know what I'd consider him. He's kind of a tweener. Back when tweeners were weird in the NBA and they weren't everybody.
Yeah, they were frowned upon. Only one guy's coming to mind.
Okay.
I almost know for damn sure he was not an All-Star in 0405, but I just want to throw a guess out there. I'm going to go with Hito Turkoglu.
It was not Hito Turkoglu. However, the guy it was Antoine Jamison.
Antoine Jamison. I would never have got that.
It was a bit of a throw off because he won Sixth Man of the Year in 03-04, which was in Dallas. And then the year after that, he went to Washington, made an All-Star appearance his first year there, and then made an All-Star appearance like 4 years later.
Okay.
Well, you know. Wow. Shout to Antoine, man.
Yeah, both of Antoine's appearances were in Washington, though. So
okay, let's switch to let's go to 80s for 300.
80s for 300.
Getting these out of the way.
God.
4-time scoring champ, 12-time All-Star.
Buzzy.
Buzzy. Don't pump fake again.
I'm gonna go with the Iceman, George Gervin.
Ladies and gentlemen, they say he knows hoops for a reason.
I just seen the scoring champs in the ABA, and I'm like, I think he played in the ABA. So go George.
I thought George Gervin might fly under the radar, man. I thought guys like you might not think about him like that. So.
Nah, he has like the coolest poster of all time.
True.
Let's stay in the 80s, man. I like this rugged era of basketball, this tough era. Let's go 80s. Let's go for 400 though.
So this is when they played real defense, ladies and gentlemen.
4-time MVP, 16-time All-Star, 2-time ABA champ.
Oh, Buzz.
Mr.
This might be wrong, but it's got to be like the most underrated big of all time. I'm gonna go with Moses Malone.
Moses Malone is such a good guess, but I can't use it. Moses Malone is a 3-time MVP, a 13-time All-Star. And I don't know if he has any ABA championships, actually. It doesn't look like it.
Hmm.
16-time All-Star.
I don't know who else it would be. I kind of have one in mind, but I don't think this guy won for All-Star or MVPs.
Looks like Moses was only in the ABA for about 2 years as well before he came over to Buffalo and then went to Houston and was there for a while.
Okay.
1-time NBA champ, 4-time MVP.
Somewhere Super Mario was.
Super Mario would know this right away.
He'd rinse me at least in an 80s, anything 80s related, that's for sure. I'm not really sure where I'm going here, so I'm just gonna buzz and say Julius Erving.
Oh, and it's a great thing you did because you needed those points.
That's crazy.
You needed those points badly. I'm about to say, like Julius Erving, probably like a top 20 basketball player ever, but I think like 3 of his MVPs were in the ABA, so can get kind of underrated since he played some of his prime in a different place.
That's a great pull. I was seeing one time.
I'm gonna be honest, it's a lucky pull.
I was seeing one time champ. I'm like, it had to be a 76er, and I just went with Moses.
Yeah, you went with the wrong star. I mean, they were stars together.
Yeah.
Okay. Give me 80s 200.
80s for 200.
2-time 6-man. These 6-man of the years be throwing me off.
However, it is a 200 for a reason.
6-time all defense. 7 All-Stars, but only 1 All-NBA. That's a crazy split.
I mean, if he was getting All-Star appearances as a 6-man, makes sense.
Buzz.
Tyrik.
Probably a bad guess. I'm gonna go with Kevin McHale.
Such a bad guess that it was right.
Okay. 6-time all defense, man. 80s was different. Let's go 80s for 100. Buzz.
Tyrik.
Magic.
It is indeed Irvin.
He only 4-time assist champ. That's it.
According to Basketball Reference.
Interesting. You would just think you would have more. I don't know why. Stereotypes. Let's get the 80s complete, man. Let's just go 80s for 5.
Let's get that done.
500.
One-time All-Star, 2-time Sixth Man of the Year.
This is the hardest pull on here. Hold up. This is one of those. I think I put this in a little bit earlier.
Brutal.
I'll tell you what year he was an All-Star at least, because for the other hard ones, I like.
Right. Magic wasn't getting assist titles because John Stockton was getting all of them.
Oh, the Merchant.
Yeah, man had 9. So
I just got so confused, and this isn't going to give it away to you guys, but I just have to put this in here. I was going down to look what year he was an All-Star, and I'm looking at his Basketball Reference page, and there's 3 stars on here. And I was like, what? His All-Star season, he got traded. So it has like the total team 1 and team 2.
Yeah.
So I was like, did I just
Did I screw up? 2 6-mans of the year. One time. That is a ridiculous accolade tree.
that is crazy.
I'm trying to think of teams in the 80s. What the hell?
Yeah, for real though.
One time All-Star.
80s. 2-time Sixth Man.
His nickname is apparently Big Paper Daddy.
Doesn't know. He said maybe it's a big. Maybe, I don't know.
He's
Super,
6'4".
Super Mario would know this.
6'4".
He's got his history on
He
lock.
is not a big man. I'm giving you guys as much help as you can get on this.
If any big ever won 2 Sixth Man of the Years, that might just break the NBA award system. That'd be crazy.
Yeah. I mean, Kevin McHale.
Yeah. Yeah, true.
Super 6-man, though.
Yeah, Kevin McHale was like Manu Ginobili before Manu Ginobili.
Yeah, that's an anomaly.
With 2000s out of the way, you guys know Manu Ginobili's not on the list, so I'll freely talk about him.
Almost guessed him for the Zach Randolph. No, not Zach Randolph. Whoever was an All-Star in 2004. And then
Antoine?
Yes, almost guessed him.
Okay.
You want a hint, Dev?
Yeah, I'll take a hint, sure.
He went to Rice University. No, that's not my real hint, but I feel like somehow Tyrik would know it.
No.
The actual one will be looks like he was a esteemed teammate of Sidney Moncrief.
Sydney was on my mind, but I'm like, I know for a fact he would have more accolades because he won a deep boy.
Esteemed teammate of Sidney Moncrief.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm gonna have anything for this one. I'm gonna be honest.
I will buzz. Since you said Sidney Moncrief, it's the only other player I remember from that Bucks team. I'm gonna go with Terry Cummings.
I mean, at least you got somebody on that team because I probably wouldn't have. But it's not Terry.
Shout out to 2K12. That's the only reason I know anything about this team.
2K legend.
Outside of Moncrief.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I'm just throwing the white flag here. I have no idea who this is.
Okay. The white flag is telling you that it's Ricky Pierce.
Pierce.
About Ricky Pierce.
Okay.
Yeah, I knew that's the hardest one on here, especially because 2010s and 2020 is like these are players you guys watch actively. So I feel like it can't get harder than that, even if it's
Super Mario would be very disappointed in this. Let's go 2000s for 2. Let's just put it this way.
Steel champ, rookie of the year, one-time MVP.
Oh, Buzz. AI.
That your answer?
Yeah, that's mine.
Because it is the answer. Allen Iverson.
Okay. 2000s for 1. Okay.
Buzz.
Devin.
Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
Walking living legend. And I feel like Kobe.
Yeah, we do not spread around the board.
No, you guys really don't. I feel like I'm a chaotic picker when I'm on here.
I have a strategy most times. Today, not really. Want to get the 80s and 90s out the way.
Let's go 2010s 300.
Every time we start a new category is 300.
300s. MIP, one-time steel champ.
Ooh.
2010s MIP. Buzz.
Go ahead.
Devin.
Paul George.
Go ahead, man.
Paul George is incorrect.
Really?
Okay.
Although it does make a lot of sense. Paul George is a 8-time All-Star, 6-time All-NBA, 4-time All-Defense.
Right.
However, 1 steals champ and a most improved player. So
Yeah, that's what was making me think Paul George, because I was pretty confident on that. And I was not appreciating how healthy he was pre the last 4 years. Not Paul George. Okay.
Oh, Buzz. With absolutely zero confidence.
okay, I'll take your guess.
Jimmy Butler.
You should have been a little bit more confident, buddy.
That's also a good guess.
I'm glad Dev Buzz first, bro.
I think it kind of came down to those two, I feel like, because, if it was like another player that mold, like a Kawhi or something, like the accolades would have been like finals MVP and stuff like that. So
I just feel like Jimmy would be more than a 6-time All-Star.
Yeah, I feel like we had this conversation a few weeks ago, but yeah, he's just not.
Because Paul
Feels
George
like he should be.
Indeed, my guess.
I mean, he had some like regular seasons where he coasted. He was going from team to team for a second, and especially like first 4 years he wasn't a star yet. So
fair. Let's go 2020s for 300.
2020s for 300.
Interesting to see what these look like.
This is the only one with a stat on it because
7.6 career points per game.
What time also get some on? Yes. Jeez. So
that's a high career points per game for a guy in the 2020s.
Wow. Rookie of the year.
Man, that's tough.
Rookie of the year.
Buzz.
Devin.
Luka Doncic.
Good call.
Like 3 seconds after saying it's tough. Here he
I
is.
was like, who has that high of a career points per game already?
Yeah,
it was like that had to be a very short list, if not he's the only guy on the list.
Right. Besides just like those like not like team athletes, but like all-star team, all-NBA team, like there wasn't a lot of like individual stuff there. So I had to put one little bone in there to throw out.
That's a good call. Let's go 2010s 200.
2010s for 200. Who is this player?
Buzz.
Tyrik.
Oh, this might be wrong. This might be Draymond Green.
It might be wrong, but it might be right. Might be right.
I saw the steals champ. I'm like, oh no.
Yeah, his defensive player of the year season, he won the steals title.
Shout out to Dre. You see him. Let's go on 2010s for 100.
Okay.
Bruh, buzz.
Not very many guys are 19-time All-Stars. So, Tyrik, if you get this wrong, I'll be very surprised.
No, it's LeBron.
That's a very good call because that's the right answer. And I think anybody could have gotten that. 4 MVPs and a 2010s player. Nobody else is doing that for a while.
Let's go on 2020s for 90.
For how much?
100.
100. Okay.
Players coming back.
A very
Buzz.
varied Devin.
That is Giannis.
It is.
Yep.
It is the right. I didn't even reveal the answer yet. But how many guys have a Finals MVP, MVP, DPOY, MIP? Like he has it all. He's been around the awards scene.
Very big resume.
Let's go 2020s 400.
2020s 400. He needs these points to catch up. It's not over yet.
Conference champ, All NBA, 1 All Rookie, 3 All Stars. Oh, there's 2 guys I'm thinking of.
Well, for 2020s as well, I think you have to take the caveat. I don't think this year's All NBA team has been released.
No.
Then yeah, so obviously this year would not. Yeah. So he could very well be somebody who's on their way to being a 3-time All NBA. But
3-time or 2-time?
On their way to 2 times since this year's teams haven't been released.
Yeah. I don't know which of the 2 guys it is I'm thinking of. Oh, man.
I know on the Sean Kemp one, I put like Western Conference champion, but I felt like I couldn't put the conference for one that's in the 2020s.
Yeah.
Because all these players are pretty recent and, you know.
Yeah, that might have made me insta-buzz. All Rookie, 1 Conference champ.
I'm going to buzz.
Okay.
This might be wrong. I don't even know if he's a 3-time All-Star. I'm going to go with – I don't even know if he made All-NBA, but I'm going to go with Bam.
I'm happy. I literally, right as you were buzzing, I looked up Bam's resume because it's not Bam because Bam apparently was not all rookie. He was also only a 2-time All-Star and has never made the All-NBA teams. However, when I started looking at it more and I was like, Bam could be a 3-time All-Star, and he's a conference champion.
Yeah, it's a good guess. I didn't think about him.
I guess he wasn't all rookie when he was backing up Hassan Whiteside. Well, actually, Devin, as soon as you were like, I got 2 guys in mind and which conference it is, like, might change it. And I'm like, what other guys are like time conference champion? And then like that's when Bam started coming to my head.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking about Bam either. I had 2 different guys in mind. I just got to pick one, so I'm going to buzz, and I'm going to say Devin Booker.
That was going to be my next. That was,
It's not over until it's over.
Oh,
it's not over.
My other guess was going to be Tatum. I couldn't decide between the 2.
See, that was the first guy that came to my mind, but I'm like, no, Tatum's a 4-time All-Star now.
Well, yeah, 3 felt low.
And
I was like, Booker 3 feels low for Booker 2, but then you consider the West, and it's like, yeah, okay, never mind.
Yeah, I think Tatum, assuming he makes it this year, would be on his 3rd All-NBA as well.
Really? 3rd?
His Basketball Reference has 2-time All-NBA, so since it doesn't count this season,
yeah, okay,
make it 3.
Okay. Let's go 2010s 200.
Wait.
2010
or 2020s. I mean, yeah, 2020s. Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say, I was like, did I mess up?
Also 3-time All Defense, 2
points
per game leader.
Oh, Tyrik trying to close out.
Yeah.
This is the fresh MVP, Joel Embiid.
Yeah. Good call.
It is MVP. It is MVP. Not too many 2020s MVPs, so that's why it was only a 200.
Yeah. Man, a lot of pressure on these last three. Let's go 2010s for 400. Try and close it out.
Scoring leader, 4-time All-Star.
Buzz.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. For the game? Tyrik?
Could be wrong, but I'm gonna go with Kemba Walker. Could be wrong, but I'm gonna go with Kemba.
The undisputed
Could be.
3-point weekly Jeopardy champion. All on the line right here. And ladies and gentlemen, it's Celtics legend Kemba Walker.
Hey man, Hornets great. Bobcats not so great.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
A franchise scoring leader gave it away. Gabe, I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah, that was definitely a
It would have given it
that
away
was
to
a strong indication.
It didn't give it away to both of you equally, so
Let's go 2010s for 5.
2010s for 5.
One-time D-boy, one NBA, 2-time All-Star, all-time, 3-time All-Defense. 2010s. Does not come to mind.
Wait, no, I'm not. 2-time All-Star. Actually, I am gonna buzz.
Tyrik, just for stat pad purposes.
Is this Tyson Chandler?
I was about to make you rescind your buzz if you didn't give a guess. But you did. And fortunately for Devin, he can try to close this gap a little bit and make the final score look a little bit better.
Okay, well, if it's not Tyson Chandler, the only other name that's coming to mind is Marc Gasol. But I feel like he has more All-Star appearances.
I feel like that would be too easy for 500.
Joakim Noah.
Joakim Noah.
Let's check it out. Let's see. Marc Gasol is a 3-time All-Star, 2-time All-NBA, and I would probably have his ring on there if he was on here.
True.
And then Tyson Chandler, that was a good guess as well. He's only a 1-time All-Star. However, 1-time All-NBA, but I would have had his ring as well. So this player not having any rings was probably the difference maker.
Right. Super Mario's mad at us for that one.
Yeah. Hardly.
And for the last question.
I was going to guess DeAndre Jordan for that last one. I'm like,
2-time All-Star.
And it's 2020, so like I don't want to give you that many like caveats because there's like 4 separate seasons.
MIP 2020s. Why are those escaping me?
This name escaped me.
Buzz. Buzzy Buzz.
Buzzy Buzz.
Is this King Julius?
You hate to see it. You hate to see it, ladies and gentlemen. To double the score. But that does make it a final score of the man who knows hoops, 3,300, to the man who runs the NBA at 1,500, and still undefeated is Reek Knows Hoops. Somebody has to come on this pod and take this man down. I don't know who it's going to be.
I'm not.
It might be you watching right now at home. You might have to come out and, geez, you can't make this stuff up.
You know, some of those questions were tough. I didn't expect to see Ricky Pierce's name, Deadlift Shrimp, as the first question. But, Dev's always a very formidable opponent. And thank you to Gabe for being a good host this time. I feel like he was a very proper host this time.
Agreed. He has improved since his debut as a host. I must concur. Congrats to the undefeated champ. Despite the score, I felt I was still in it for the majority of it. I did not feel completely outmatched by my counterparts. So, despite the loss, I'll take some pride in it.
Well, yeah, I think the final differential was 1,300, and the last 3 questions on the board were worth 1,400. So
yeah,
it was not over till the end, even if the stat sheet has it. It's one of those games where it's like a 20-point win, but it's like it was like a 8-point game with like 3 minutes left, and then it took the starters out.
Exactly.
A close
I'm
matchup.
just
I'm
waiting.
happy to be in the allegations, though. I thought the last one, asking y'all how many teams were 500, I really thought that was a big dramatic closer.
I'm just waiting for my time for the off season, and then we get off season Jeopardy, and I'm all over it.
Devin's comeback arc.
Who signed for a mid-level exception with the Raptors in 2020?
Which is going to be especially nasty in a few months because literally all of my research on my deep dives is centered around that stuff.
Yeah, no.
My entire weekend has been spent looking at contract types of guys on teams in the postseason for the last 3 years.
You'll have to bring on like Stoms to go up against Dev in that realm of contracts and stuff.
Yeah. Next week, hopefully I'll be right there in the trenches against Devin, competing for the glory, man, for the glory. Because
I got an idea. I think we can do a Jeopardy of like just players' basketball reference pages, like their stats.
Yeah.
I see the broadcast boys that do that on TikTok, and I feel like that'd be a fire idea for a Jeopardy.
Yeah, that does sound fun. If you could find a way to make it work, that'd be fun.
I'm gonna put that together this week. I got you. I haven't hosted in a while, so I'm gonna make the comeback.
Sounds good.
Man, this is like a this late into it. I'm like, dang, that's only been like 2 hours.
Oh, we actually have time for an actual non-basketball after show for once.
Man. Maybe 30 minutes to a game time too.
I know. I feel like we're like the pre-show. Can wrap up at like 3:30 or something and
Yeah.
go to games. But yeah, that was fun. I was sitting there last night, and I'm like, I don't even know what I'm about to do for Jeopardy. And it was like super late, and I was thinking about it, and I'm like, I feel like a good little accolades quiz is always fun because there's some people who you're like, he won that then. The only thing then was like I was sitting there thinking all last night, like, how am I gonna split this up? Like guards, forwards, bigs, or like what do I even do with it? And I'm like, I'm gonna split it up by decades.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it.
Definitely fair.
Because otherwise, we would have been thinking about guys from the 20s to the 50s.
Yeah.
Which would have been rough.
Oh, Will Chamberlain. Oh no, it's Jason Tatum.
Yeah, that'd have been tough.
The one that threw me off the most is definitely Jameson.
Yeah, that was a tough one.
Exactly. I know he won MIP.
And that's why I was like, yeah, it's definitely players you guys know. I'm surprised Devin didn't know who Detlef Shrimp was. 2K legend.
I've never heard that name. To be completely honest, I've never heard the name. It's on me.
Mainly on the Supersonics, I think. And then I think later on he went to the Portland teams with like Scotty and
he was there.
And Arvidas, and I think he played with Zach Randolph. So those two played together.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, he was good. He was good.
I think he's at least on 2 classic 2K teams because the 96 Sonics and the 2000 Portland Trailblazers.
Okay.
But the Trailblazers are kind of a dead topic on this podcast, and the Supersonics don't exist anymore, so I can forgive you not knowing their grades.
Yeah, the Trailblazers are to be forgotten for a little bit. Although we are approaching the lottery, but sticking a bit for that.
I just rewatched my Anthony Simons video from last year, and I still stand on everything I said in that video. Times 10.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I feel like we've been saying the same thing for years now. What have we got? It's closer than I thought. It's the 16th. So not next week, but the week after we'll be talking about the lottery.
Tuesday.
Lottery preview.
We'll get to see who finally gets Victor.
That should be we could do a fun little lottery preview next week's. It'll give me a good opportunity to slander teams that I don't want picking high.
We'll go with the Spurs. I think the Spurs.
I don't know. I feel like it's like somehow I just have this like feeling that it's going to be a team that's not in the top 3.
It wouldn't shock me. I mean, the odds of the top 3 teams getting the first overall pick is less than 50%. So technically, there is a greater chance of someone 4 through 14 getting it than someone 1 through 3. So it is very possible. I just really hope that's not Washington. That's what I care for.
He's a Pelican.
Fans deserve
a Pelican.
I feel like every single.
If the Pelicans jump from 0.5% odds to get him, that'd be crazy.
Did they do that with Zion?
They jumped for Zion. It wasn't that drastic, but they jumped for Zion too. So if they do that again, oh man, that'd be sick.
There's any teams that are gonna jump for a number 1 pick, bro. It's always the Cavs, the Timberwolves, and the Pelicans, bro. There's always got the number 1 pick, and 2 of those teams are not in the lottery. So
the Cavs had
it's gonna be the Pels.
After LeBron left the first time, they had like 2 top picks within like 3 years.
They had Kyrie, Anthony Bennett, and Andrew Wiggins. And then LeBron was a number 1 pick, but that was a little bit.
No, they did draft Wiggins. I fucking forgot.
No, they drafted Wiggins.
Yeah, they did. He was
traded
traded later in that offseason.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
He was one of the few guys that was actually traded in the offseason. He wasn't a draft night trade.
He got traded he played summer league with the Cavs. Got traded.
Yeah.
We were supposed to get
for what?
We were supposed to get Jabari Parker against Andrew Wiggins for years.
We were really supposed to get LeBron and Wiggins together, winning rings. Instead, we got Kurt Goat and Andrew Wiggins together, winning rings.
It was supposed to be LeBron and the next LeBron winning championships.
Yeah.
If the Warriors win this series, is this the Andrew Wiggins revenge tour? LeBron traded him. He could have had a ring in 2016.
Nah, it's not a revenge tour. He already got his ring. I don't think he needs anything else.
That is a very rabbit hole. Like, what if Andrew Wiggins?
Yeah, no doubt.
Sounds like a Mike
Crazy.
Video from
I don't know, because his career was so strange. Because we know what he is now, and the player he is now would have fit great on the LeBron and Kyrie Cavs teams. But the player he was first 5 seasons, where he's not very efficient, 25 points per game scored, takes a lot of shots in the mid range, but
doesn't care, doesn't defend.
Yeah, defensive intangibles, but not defensive impact.
That's why players like DeAndre Ayton piss me off, because Wiggins figured it out. Can't you?
And some guys take halfway through their career to figure it out, and some guys just don't care enough to figure it out. I mean, because that's one of those things where Wiggins' situation I can understand a bit more, because he was in a situation in Minnesota where he had to be the guy a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So some of the faults in his game were an unnecessary, or I should say necessary evil. Whereas once he got to Golden State, he was in a situation where, okay, he has a smaller role, focus more on rebounding, focus more on the defensive end, and he can actually key in more on those other things. Whereas Ayton's already in a pretty good situation where he doesn't have to be the guy. So he's far enough into his career now where it's if you're not doing the parts of the game well that are a significant portion, at least, are just effort and heart and compete, that doesn't really improve that much over time. Not maybe after the first couple of years in the league, but when you're as deep into his career as he is now, you just kind of have that or you don't. And unfortunately, it seems like he doesn't.
Sad to see him, man.
And the Pelicans were 8th in lottery odds when they jumped up to get Zion.
I feel like wasn't the biggest jump like when the Bulls got D Rose? That was a crazy jump, wasn't it?
What that was. That's before I was that in depth and I was looking at the lottery like that.
No, the Heat were like a 15-win team season 5.
So 08 season. So 7-08 standings. The Bulls were an 11 seed with 33 wins. There was 8 teams worse than them, so they had the 9th best odds.
Did D Wade like tear his ACL or something? What the heck?
I think he was injured pretty heavily that season.
15 wins is egregious because like late 2000s, Wade was like a top 5 player. I'm showing my being like 5 years old moment.
15 wins is
Yeah, that is rough. That is rough.
Well, didn't Detroit win like 16 this season?
I think so. That was definitely a rough one. So it was not exactly a play and push type season. Yeah,
the
17
Sonics
they won.
Sonics won 20 games. What did they get? Number 4 overall or number 3 overall? I always forget what one Russ was.
4.
4. What? Because him and Kevin Love were drafted like right by each other, right?
It went Rose, Beasley, OJ Mayo.
OJ to the Grizz.
That is Super Mario 20 questions answer, OJ Mayo.
That's Grizzlies like right before they got good too, right? Like after the Gasol trade. Well, Gasol trade was mid-season that year, but like before Mark Gasol, before Conley, all that.
I think Grizz in 2010 won like 40 games, just missed out on the playoffs. Well, not just missed out because the AC had 50 wins, but like in the East, they would have probably made the playoffs, I think, that season.
Yeah. In 2008, the 8 seed was Atlanta at 37-45. The 7 seed was the Sixers at 40-42, and the Raptors were a 6 seed at 41-41.
And Atlanta pushed the Celtics to 7 games.
The only 50-win teams in the East were like the Celtics, who, of course, because they won the chip. The 04 Pistons on their like last legs, and then the Magic with Dwight coming up. LeBron's Cavs only won 45 as the defending Eastern champs.
Boston won 66 that year.
That year, this was when Chris Paul almost won MVP. That's right. I was like, dang, the Hornets were 56-26.
How many did the Lakers win? 57?
57. Yeah, Hornets were literally a game out of the 1 seed. Chris Paul might have got that MVP if they were better than the Lakers.
Yeah.
But then Kobe would literally have no MVP, so I won't wish that upon the world. Kobe probably should have got it like 5 years before that. It is weird like that. Kobe's best season was definitely not his MVP season at all. But
yeah, I also hate revisionist history. Like, I keep seeing like people try to take their versus MVP.
Yeah, and it's funny, like especially because so many of those arguments is just like, oh look, here's the numbers. And it's like, okay, but like there's no context to that. Like, did you actually go back and watch anything from 12 years ago? Like, I don't know. It's a weird world with that stuff for sure. It's just like, okay, here's my Twitter post with 4 numbers for each player's on it, and this is why he should win.
Like at that time, nobody in their right mind was picking anybody over Devin. Even though he wasn't unanimous, like it was pretty like clear who the MVP of basketball was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like LeBron had an MVP level season, but
he's always at MVP level
I'm not gonna say there wasn't any voter fatigue and like anti-LeBron sentiment because that was like year one in Miami and he like broke the league or whatever. But to say Derrick Rose didn't deserve it, it's kind of like this year. Like Jokic like had an MVP caliber season, but it was like Embiid's time.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, some years there's just multiple dudes that have MVP caliber years. It's just how it is. Doesn't mean that the other guy needs to win it. It just means he also had a good year.
James Harden still should have won in
Embiid,
2017, though.
I don't disagree with that, but I'm not mad at Russ winning it that year.
Did you end up
games?
Today's games? Oh. Probably Boston and Denver. I think they both go 3-1.
Go Boston. I want to say Suns, but I'm probably with that too.
I'm going Boston. I'm giving the Phoenix Suns, man, because I have to. I literally have to. The sweepstakes is relying on it.
No, you don't even get back to back anymore. You're just screwed.
I know. I'm finished, man. Like at this point, it's between like Tyrik and Garrett. Clutch Talk's still in it.
Clutch Talk's definitely still in it.
Lakers are there. It's funny we didn't even mention like Book shot like 80% and took 2 free throws.
Crazy, crazy night. It was like what 45 points on 25 shots, like with 2 free throws. That's crazy stuff, man.
Thinking it's
absolutely crazy stuff.
Into the game when they're intentionally fouling like that.
Yeah,
insane shot making.
Some crazy stuff.
I still hold that like Jamal Murray's 50 piece with no free throws is like one of the most impressive scoring games ever.
That is so difficult to do. Like
yeah, that is wicked.
You look at most 50-point games. Like there's some outliers of guys not taking any free throws, but most of them guys went to the line like 8 to 10 times at least.
Yeah, at least.
I feel like it's like 14, 15 these days. Dudes that actually drop 50, like Luka's taking a lot of free throws, Prime Harden's taking a lot of free throws, and Beach taking a lot of free throws. Most of the guys that get up there and scoring numbers like that, like they get to the line a lot. I mean, like Jimmy just hit 56, and he's a guy that gets to the line like all the time.
So like,
yeah. Even Dame, like no different even with Dame this year. Career high, he had a career high in free throw attempts, a bit over 9. Like it's kind of the way it is these days.
I think they said he makes like 10 free throws a game.
Yeah, Embiid's on another level.
Yeah, he's like a realtor of the free throw line, man. He has some real estate there.
Real estate.
Yeah, that's some crazy stuff. Yeah. Yeah, 10 a game, attempted 11.7, shot 85.7% this year. It's wicked.
At least he makes them.
Yeah. Yeah, he's been over 80% from the line for the last 5 years.
That was somebody that was going to redshirt at Kansas.
Yeah, it's crazy. You end up testing your those OBS settings yet, Gabe?
I haven't yet. I got them all in my notes. I've been like super busy the past couple of days, but
for sure.
I gotta get back on it, man. Video 2 is gonna do as good as video 1, despite my clickbaitiness. Took all the notes that Jelson was talking about with thumbnails too.
Yeah.
That's how it works sometimes, man. It's always the videos that you don't expect that like do better than you think.
Yeah, it's the way it goes sometimes.
9 subscriber legend, man. Come on. Stop playing with me.
Only so bad. How did y'all's YouTube meeting go? I sadly could not attend.
It was good. It was good.
It was good. I was in there for like 20, 30 minutes before I had to go, but got some good pointers. Justin was giving me some pointers, even though he was looking for advice himself. He was doing some giving and taking.
No, that's why I wanted to think. I knew I was going to be talking to both of you guys, and then within a day or two, it's like, well, I might as well get both of you guys in there because you can just bounce ideas off each other.
The king of YouTube himself. Yeah.
The man who runs YouTube and the NBA. Come on.
I don't know about that one, but we're trying.
You are the only NBA creator that I watch for like actual NBA analysis, so that says something.
I'll take it.
He's the king of off-season content.
Yeah, that is definitely where I lie my cap, for sure.
Devin in the off season like Jimmy Butler in the playoffs, which is a new level.
I need to get my Portland video mainly done today. I don't even know how that might be really short, to be honest.
There's not really much to say, man.
I don't have anything new to say about Portland. Same thing I've been saying for them for the last 20 months. But
what was the last video?
The Orlando one started last week.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did watch that.
Hopefully get the Portland one out in the next couple of days. And then once I'm on the road, I'll have all my scripts and notes ready to go because I'll be on the road Monday to Friday, and then I'll just record and edit all weekend. I think, yeah, I'll be around this Monday and next Monday, and maybe the 22nd. But after that, through like the end of August, I'll be not at home Monday to Friday. So I'll exclusively be around for recording on weekends at that point.
Sunday Pod Legends.
Does this guy sleep?
Good thing my workplace closes at 6 o'clock on Sundays, man. I'll always be free by like at the latest like 7 on Sunday.
Yeah, that's not bad. It's not bad. That's 5 my. That's 5 my time. So just chilling.
I think even Pete Garrett was in the chat, and Joseph.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna be staying in the middle of nowhere half the time for half the summer. So even if I had a laptop, I don't know if I'd want to be recording on that.
Yeah,
I'd be dropping out half the time. I think I got a couple of weeks in a couple of communities of a couple thousand people, so I'll be out in the vast northern Canadian wilderness.
Yeah.
Man, I'll be out in the wilderness all week, man. About to be a nature guy. It's exciting stuff.
Nature guy.
I'll be in Gatlinburg for the first time, man. I got to start practicing my country twang so I fit in when I get down there. I think I can tap into it pretty naturally. I got to start getting practiced. I'm going to this family reunion on June 2nd in like deep Kentucky, and if I start talking like a city boy from Columbus, they'll know. And they might not give me the food, man. So I got to stay ready.
City boy from Columbus is crazy. Yankees
Yankees. I still can't believe bro is a Yankees fan. That's Ty bandwagon.
Yankees fan like since I started playing like baseball as a kid.
They were probably good then too.
It was like one of the first teams I played on, so it's like
the first baseball team I played on was the Colorado Rockies.
I think the two I played on was the Yankees and the Blue Jays. Still have my Blue Jays hat, actually.
Blue Jays. Well, you guys have seen my Blue Jays hat.
I still have mine. I think it's the old logo.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that one in ages.
I'm about to find it.
I'm an Expos fan.
An Expos fan. And my dad's an Expos fan. But he's also from Eastern Canada, so when you're in Eastern Canada, you either pick Montreal or Toronto and off you go. So this man's like, what, a 7-day drive from where we live now? It's a nice
7-day drive?
7-day drive, yeah. Yeah, it took them 7 days to drive across the country when they moved up here. I think my mom had been off the island once. I don't think my dad had ever been off the island. They lived up in Newfoundland. And yeah, 7-day drive across the country. It's crazy. But yeah, that's my 2 big summer projects. I got 2 deep dive ideas I want to do now. I got my contract comparison. I think I'm going to title it "How to Build an NBA Title Contender." I think, and it's going to be like comparing mid-level exceptions to rookie deals to vet minimums, and how many of those guys actually play compared to how many there actually is. And then I might do another one too on how much depth do you actually need in the NBA, and like see how many guys actually play in the rotation on postseason teams compared to guys who then play come the finals. That might be where the summer goes, during the depth of August when there's nothing else to talk about.
I like those. Are you doing a what's next for like every team, or just like
in theory? But I'll just stop when drafts last free agency starts, and I don't think I'll have time to do all of them. So I'm just going from the bottom of the standings up for the most part. So wherever I end up, I end up.
What's next for the Raptors? I want to see that video.
I don't even know if I want to do that video. I'm gonna be honest. I feel like that needs to be a deep dive in of itself if I do it, which is a problem.
There's just
such
so
a
much
long
to
video.
talk about.
Well, that's the thing, is it's like I can talk about, well, what if this happens, and then what if this happens, and what if this happens. I can go like a million different what if channels that I'd have to keep it clear and concise, and then anyone who watches it is like, well, what is your thoughts on this, and what if this happens? And it's like, well, I could talk about it, but then the video would be 50 minutes long. So
15-minute run the NBA video? Wake up.
If it's not a deep dive like I'm doing this summer, I don't think my brain can handle that. I think if I sat there and had to download enough clips and edit through enough clips to have 50 minutes of Raptors footage for the majority of the video, oh man, I don't even want to know how long that would take. That would be crazy. Downloading it's not too bad. That's pretty quick, but the editing part is bad. Really bad. That would at least be a full 12-hour day of just sitting here editing through clips, at least. I don't know if I have the patience to do that for a what's next video. That might be a bit much. I'd also probably need to download like every Pascal Siakam bucket from the entire year, and that for Scotty and Freddie and Gary. Just have enough. That'd be crazy. But the deep dive videos, yeah, one of those might end up being that long. We'll see. We'll see how they ends up being presented. The depth one definitely not, but the contract type one might be, because I think I'm going to go back to the 2010 playoffs forward. So I'm going to have 14 playoffs to discuss. So it depends how I want to present it. That could end up being a juicer.
You've got some huge plans.
Well, I got to keep myself busy somehow when I'm sitting in a hotel room in the middle of nowhere all summer. So that's going to be the evening plans once the postseason ends. I'm going to be sitting down for 5 hours researching who was on a mid-level exception on the playoff Atlanta Hawks in 2015.
I know who was on a mid-level exception for the Golden State Warriors in 2019. His name was DeMarcus Cousins.
I don't know. I have no idea how I'm going to present that yet, but figure it out, because that's going to be a mess. Somehow I'm going to have to make it not a mess. That'll be the fun in it. Login? What do you mean login? Premium access? Oh, that's the problem. Do I need premium access to go back to the seasons that far back? That's not good. Don't do me like that, Sport Trek. Oh, they are doing me like that. Well, that's not good. That's problematic. I thought this was going to be easy research, but apparently I need premium access. It's $30 a year. It's not that bad, actually. It might be worth it. Tax write-off. Yeah, historical contract information, historical team financials, advanced data portal, complete league breakdowns, and custom team player comparisons. Okay. It's not bad. At least it's not like StatMuse. Although StatMuse loosened up a bit, so it's as bad now. It's still outrageous that it's $20 a month, but
Crazy.
At least the free version is decent still. You can actually see everything. That's somewhat relevant.
Yeah, I honestly don't know what I'm doing with my channel. I'm so lost.
To be fair, it's tough sometimes, especially when we're like NBA YouTube has been around for so long now. Like there's very few things that have not been done. So it's basically just finding something that you're passionate about that you can throw your own twist on. There's very few things that you can do that are original unless you just other than a deep dive on something obscure. But it's like for day-to-day content, it's like there's very few things that are new at this point.
I got to do quizzes to up my knowledge so I don't get whacked by Tyrik and Jeopardy every time. That's my passion right now, is not losing every single time.
Maybe I'll just be a jersey ranker. The jersey is actually good.
Yeah, that's a video to do well.
Become a jersey designer.
I wish I had the Photoshop skills and the patience to do that.
Just do it. Well, what if you did a series where it's like you just did like a 3 jersey kit for like one team, and you just like went over it in depth in that video, and it was like just like a 7-8 minute video, and you could just get like one out a week, and then you got all week just to make like 3 jerseys. I feel like that'd be fun.
I'm just not like creative like that, man. I don't know if I could like design jerseys. That'd be like a task. I really have to like get in my bag with that.
For as many as you've ranked, it takes a guy that knows jerseys to make jerseys.
The ranker becomes the designer.
Yeah,
that could be like a little long-term project. Like make a jersey for each team or something like that.
That'd be pretty sick.
I have to go to Photoshop University on YouTube.
Yeah, that is definitely not something I'd be pulling off in my wildest dreams. So I'll leave that to you.
I'm not even got some notes. That's not a bad idea at all.
My skills for that stuff stops and ends at making thumbnails, and that's about it.
To this day, I couldn't tell you what the biggest sport in Boston is. They all seem so equal.
I'll say basketball. I'm biased though. So.
I mean,
basketball.
The Patriots were like the best team in football for like 2 decades. Everybody was really hyped about the Bruins and then was really sick when they like fell out.
Mhm.
And the Red Sox are like one of the most historic franchises in baseball.
Yeah. The Celtics are like top 2 most historic in terms.
Yeah, I'd probably lean the way of basketball, but there's definitely a lot of arguments either way there. Good franchises.
We're biased as well.
Very biased.
This is very true. We are definitely biased.
Bro, like my guy Reek is Boston's biggest hater in baseball, but a Boston fan in basketball.
Yeah, I can never explain that. I just my teams are all over the place, man. People know this.
I feel like you can just explain it by saying, yeah, I grew up without a local team. I had to pick one. People ask me all the time, why aren't you like a Cavs fan? You're from Ohio, like bum-ass Cavs. I'm from Cincy. Cleveland sucks.
Don't ask me about shit like that.
Oh, man. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, the only one I have to explain is well, actually, I was going to say the only one I have to explain is the Cowboys, but I really have to explain my hockey pick because I didn't pick a Canadian team, which is, I guess, not uncommon, but usually that means like you picked the Penguins because the Penguins were the team back then. But here I am, a Buffalo Sabre fan, and it's like, why would you choose Buffalo?
Why are you
the most random team to pick?
They got like my favorite jerseys in the NHL.
Yeah, they do have good jerseys.
At least it's not the Penguins, man. If you liked the Penguins and the Cowboys, we would have to be having some discussions.
Well, for the NFL, I went with my father's team with the Cowboys, and then with the NHL, he was a Habs fan, and I said, screw that, we're going across the border to your rivals in Buffalo. So, although we were rivals for like the first 2 years, I liked them when we made conference finals back to back, and then we didn't make the playoffs for now however many years, like 14 years. So,
bro, talking about he affected America's team from Canada.
It's Canada's team too. The Internationals team. Other than Jacksonville, who's apparently London's team, which is a rough pick for London's team. But
hey, Duval! No, they're back, bro. Trevor Lawrence leading into the promised land. I can't believe they snuck into the playoffs last year.
Yeah, well,
and then won a playoff game, like that was insane.
Yeah, them winning a playoff game was crazy. Them getting the playoffs was surprising too, but I mean, when you consider the fact that the Titans had 12 million injuries. Yeah, it was the Chargers.
I was gonna say Bolts, but I was like, did the Bolts make the postseason?
Yeah,
but it was the year before the Raiders knocked them out at the last second.
Yep.
I'm a Chargers hater because Joe Burrow was better than that fraud on the Bolts, Justin Herbert.
Dang, the Herbert hate is crazy.
If people would just acknowledge that Joe Burrow is better,
he is.
See, that's simple.
He is. But I still like the Chargers.
Yeah, I'm an Oregon Ducks fan, so I love Justin Herbert. So.
Are you a Dylan Brooks fan too?
I'm an Oregon Ducks football fan, so
Okay, all right.
I'm not
Okay.
confirm or deny my fandom for Dylan Brooks.
All right. That's a good answer. That's a good answer.
It's a great answer.
I just have never understood how people can be like, I don't know. To me, I'm like, if I'm a fan of a college, like I'm a fan of that college. Like I'm an Ohio State fan, so I'm just an Ohio State fan for everything. I'm not I'm an Ohio State fan for football because they're a power program, but I like Duke or Kansas in basketball because they're a power program. Like,
No, not me.
I like a college and I'll stick with it, man.
Not me. No.
I also go there though.
Yeah, that makes more sense. But I was never an Ohio State fan before I came here, so I'm not like switching up my fandom to fit in.
You're not going to become an Ohio State fan even though you're getting an education here?
No.
You better start learning Pacific Northwest, buddy. Next semester, you'll be studying with the Oregon Ducks.
Or learn whatever they teach in Chapel Hill. Carolina.
Chapel Hill. You can get into your Southern twang too down in North Carolina.
I don't think I'm smart enough to get into Chapel Hill. I have like ridiculous grades and
I didn't get in.
I wouldn't even like try applying there out of high school. Like
I thought I had a shot, but I didn't get it. My ACT score was solid for like.
Oh, you actually applied?
Yeah.
Bro, I was trying to get out of state.
I applied there and Duke just to see if I could. I'm like, I like basketball. Let me see if I can go to one of the best basketball teams.
Those schools are like tough to get in. Like, they don't accept people.
Well, I'll wait. And when you were like, when you're one of the smartest kids at your high school, you're like, oh, I got this. And then you go to college and you're just another dude.
See, I thought I was good. I had a 3.9 in high school, but I was like, I know I might get it.
Yeah, I want to high school. Oh, I was cooking, bro. I had like a 4.2, and it would have been a 4.3, I think, if I would have finished. But COVID came, but then I had like a 30 on the ACT. I was like, I'm cooking because people in Middletown was getting like 22s and thinking, oh, that's decent. So I'm like, if I got a 30, like that's good. And then I walk into college classes and they're like, what'd y'all get on your ACT? And everybody's like 32, 33, 31, 30. I'm like, I guess I'm just not smart anymore. I was just a big fish in a small pond.
See, I got
D1 school being a small pond, but
I got around like a 22. I'm a terrible test taker. Like I do enough just to get by, so my grades don't get like limited.
Chill up.
Hey, I'm back on Dean's list this semester, man. I think I'm gonna finish with like 4 A's and an A minus, and the 1 A minus was like a 92.6.
Good stuff.
Guys like me, we're committed to the books, man. Come on.
The books, the gym, the pod, the Clippers.
Not the Clippers.
Bro's no longer a closeted Clipper fan. That's crazy.
It's lucky they shouldn't get brought up much now for another month and a few weeks.
I don't even see it. We've been going for 2.5 hours. I didn't say the Clippers. Actually, I talked about the Clippers once, and it was about how it was boring because they lost to the Suns too fast. They were disappointing.
Yeah. And Devin mentioned a possible Kawhi or Paul George to the Knicks. But
yeah, that's about it. Man, it's just crazy how much contracts have changed. I'm looking at 2011, 2012 contracts. Given it's the Raptors, but still, the highest paid guy on the Raptors had a base salary of $7.9 million.
Ooh. Let me guess who it was. I'm gonna go with Bargnani. He was still there.
He was close in second. He was at 7.4.
You said what year?
2011, 2012 season. Getting paid 7.9 mil.
Ooh.
I'm trying to think of just who the highest pick they had was. Because
no, this is before Rudy Gay.
I'm thinking like whoever their highest pick was might have been like
Bargnani was.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying like with like that plus inflation, maybe somebody was drafted like number 2, like a little later.
No, we didn't have that high of a pick.
Yeah. Can't be DeMar.
DeMar is on 2.1 mil a year on his rookie deal.
He was drafted like 9 or something.
Yeah, he was drafted 9. Yeah, that was his third year in the league.
Was it Amir?
No, Amir is at 4.4. He's 4th.
Oh, y'all be mad at me if I end up dropping this Raptors quiz. I forgot Amir Johnson.
That's tough.
I forgot Amir Johnson, and he was like everywhere from like 2006 to like
2014. Yeah, he's all over that. Yeah, that's tough. Raptor legend.
Is it Jose? Was Jose still there?
Yeah, that's Jose.
Oh man.
Yeah, Jose was there for a few years after that still, because he was still there for like that first year when Lowry got traded for a bit with Lowry off the bench. And I want to say it was 2013 they moved off from.
Hey, you don't know about the best
2012-13 season he got traded.
Best Raptors point guard of all time, the Dragon, Goran. Raptor legend.
Get out of here.
Raptor legend, Goran Dragic. I don't even feel like it happened. That was like a year ago.
God.
I remember when that was the news amongst the Raptors community for a week. That was a time.
When Goran didn't want to be there.
Even like, I'm thinking of contracts now. I think Bron, D Wade, and Bosh took pay cuts, and they were making like 13 or 14 million a year.
Let's see.
Like when they accepted those contracts, like imagine star players making that much today.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
When Curry signed his extension, that was like the best ever. Wasn't he on like 12 million a year, something crazy? I feel like he was on like a 4-year, 48.
Oh.
Steph Curry.
Yeah.
During like the Warrior, like that's why they were able to sign KD because Steph was making like pennies.
Yeah. In the 2011-2012 season, they were all making between 12 to 13 mil between Bosh, LeBron, and Wade. It jumped the year after that. The year after that, they were all on 17.
See, that was a good decision, man. That's how they were able to sign all those like bench players after year 1.
All them 50-year-olds.
Celtics fan salty that Ray Allen left, huh?
Yeah. At the time, yeah.
Ray was only making like a bit over 3 mil. It's a mid-level exception money back then.
Ooh,
which is crazy because that's now 3 times bigger now. Mid-level exception's like 10 mil, a bit under 10 mil now.
Oh, he's that big. Dang. MLE when they signed DeMarcus Cousins to the Warriors was like 5 mil.
But that was probably the taxpayers mid-level exception. Yeah. That one's lower. If you're over the tax apron, which the Warriors probably were, then your mid-level exception is slightly lower. Or at least it was. It's probably different now under the new CBA. Now I don't think you get your mid-level exception if you're over the tax apron, but
contract king.
I gotta re-educate myself on the new CBA this summer because now that kicks in. So
that changed.
But yeah, before this off season, I think if you're over the tax apron, then you only get a taxpayer mid-level exception. It's like 40% less, I think. So the guy really cares about the money. He might not join you. It's a slight hindrance, but
that changed.
Within the exact values now.
How much is the vet minimum right now? You know, off your head.
I don't know exactly. I think it scales somewhat based on how many years you've been in the league too, I think.
Okay.
I'll be right back, y'all.
For sure. Yeah, league minimum salaries have been set at various levels depending on a player's experience in the league. Rookie minimum salary is $953K, while longtime vets with over 10 years of experience can get up to 2.72.
Okay. I remember back then, it used to be like very low.
Yeah, it used to be way lower. Because I didn't realize that until I was looking at contracts in the last couple of days. Like guys that start on like two-way deals and then get their 4-year deals after that. Like Jose Alvarado was a guy I was looking at, for example, when he got his 4-year last year. Like I consider that a rookie contract, but it gets listed as like for some of them it gets listed as a minimum, and for some of them it gets listed as a mid-level exception. It's like, but that's not like the traditional mid-level exception. I'd consider that a rookie deal. Like no one thinks that Jose Alvarado is on a mid-level exception. They think he's a rookie, but like on a rookie deal. But it's weird how that gets classified.
Jose's contract is just like terrible.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, it's good to get long-term security at least, but he's like, for an NBA player, he's not making too much.
Yeah. If he would have signed, like, in hindsight, and of course could have the security, but if he signed a 1-year deal and then signed another deal now this summer, like, be getting way more money.
So jealous, man. My mom's in Margaritaville. I'm in Ohio. It's okay though. That's okay though. I'll be there tomorrow.
He said I'll be there tomorrow.
She told me on Wednesday. She said, "Yeah, we're going down a day early." Like, damn, you weren't gonna tell me. Just gonna wake up. You're not gonna be here. I was telling Devin before the pod. I'm like, hey, they took the dog to my grandma's though. You know them summer pods. Just randomly you'll hear, yeah, just like dog going crazy.
Yeah, mid-level exception this year is 10.5 mil.
Jeez.
And the taxpayer mid-level exception is 6.5.
Oh, Boston's finished. Philly's winning the series. Oh yeah, Philly up 2-0. Yeah, it's over.
It's 2-2.
So hold on, one delay. Hold up.
I don't know.
Oh yeah, JB just made that. That's 2-2.
I should bookmark this page, actually. I need to sort out my bookmarks. I have way too many sites bookmarked on this computer.
I bookmark like a million during semesters, and then I get to the end of the semester. I'm like, oh, I don't need that no more.
Yeah, I need to do that because that's where mine at between that and then different stuff for content. Like I have, yeah, that's from that long ago. I have rookie profile pages from start of last year bookmarked because I got James Bouknight, Josh Primo, Kuminga, Trey Mann, Kai Jones. It's got a bunch of dudes just pages bookmarked. I don't remember what that was even for. Oh, I think I was planning on doing some video about the G League, and then I didn't. That's what that was. Yeah, because I had Luka Garza, Sharif Cooper, right? And the G League guys.
Forgot about Sharif. I was abnormally high on him when I was in college.
Yeah, I don't even know where he is right now, if he's anywhere.
I think he's just in the G. That's my check. Didn't the Hawks release him?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out who he's with. Cleveland Charge in the G League. Okay, so he's with Cleveland. For the time being, at least. It's the Pioneer. Okay.
Philly's not losing both on their home floor, are they?
Only 2 teams used the biannual exception in the 2021-22 season. That's crazy.
Embiid's a Portland Trailblazer. I've seen enough.
Yeah.
Shaden Sharp for Joel Embiid.
Maybe Harden's a Blazer.
James Harden's a Houston Rocket.
He goes back to the Rockets. That's
He ain't going back for the basketball. He's going back for
the clubs.
Man, that would be how to ruin a rebuild 101. That would be studied in textbooks in 10 years from now. Going to be posted up in universities across the country.
Hey, man.
How
Kobe
to
was
ruin
still
a
on the
regular
Lakers.
one.
Kobe was on the Lakers the last couple of years, and they were still able to acquire a lot of talent.
Yeah, but my problem is Harden's going to be the best player on that team. That's not going to be a good team. Harden is your best player in 2023 is not going to be good.
Kobe was probably the best player on the 2016 Lakers.
That's not saying much.
It was like him or D'Lo.
It was probably Kobe.
Over rookie D'Lo, yeah, you're probably right. I don't even remember who Cat won Rookie of the Year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. I was about to say, no way they gave it to like Jalil or something. That would have been crazy.
Nah, it was that was actually a good rookie class. Like when they were rookies.
Yeah.
Cat, Jalil was good. Porzingis. D'Lo was okay. Nah, he was bad actually.
Was Emmanuel Mudiay in that draft? Nuggets legend?
Like I said, thought he was the one.
Hey. All I'm thinking about is Rice University legend Ricky Pierce.
My assessment of talent back then was just so bad. Like every time I thought somebody was the one, they're out the league in 5 years.
Michael Carter Williams is up next.
I actually wasn't high on him. Actually was not high on him. But Jabari, injuries kind of played a part, but he was one of them.
Yeah.
Shit, Justice Winslow, I thought was going to be really good.
Yeah, me too.
I feel like everybody thought Justice Winslow was going to be good. He was like 6'8", playing point guard back when that was first starting to become cool.
Just not cool enough for it to matter yet.
Yeah.
You didn't get to do that until like back into year 3.
Some guys I was right on. Josh Jackson. Right on him.
I was a Bagley enjoyer, man.
Oh, that's probably maybe my worst one. Maybe my worst one. That's why 8 might not be hated on as much because, like, yeah, you were drafted ahead of Luka, but so was Bagley.
Yeah, that's true. That is very true.
I'm glad he's played somewhat better in the story, or at least there's no drama surrounding him.
Yeah. I don't know what his future holds yet, but at least he's been decent. I don't know if he stays in Detroit, but
I think the Pistons quiz I did show me like how bad the Pistons were.
yeah, they had some rough years.
Post Blake Griffin.
Yeah, post Blake Griffin was really bad, and pre Blake Griffin there was some pretty rough years too.
Yes. I forgot the type of days.
Yeah.
I just don't think of him as a starter anymore. He came off the bench
Yeah, that's fair. That's crazy. John Salmons was the second highest paid player on our 2013-14 roster. That is disgusting. John Salmons. Yeah, he got given a 5-year, $39 million deal. That is crazy. That is a bag back then. For John Salmons. I don't know if that's the guy I'd be giving a bag to, but
that's like Landry Shaman money these days.
Yeah, I guess he was averaging 18 points a game back then, but
he was nice.
And he signed the deal and then had like one decent year and then was terrible for the rest of the contract.
Hey, do you know who John Simmons is?
Who?
You know
John
who John
Salmons.
Simmons is?
Not a chance.
Toronto Raptors legend.
Not a chance.
Toronto
He's the guy.
Raptors legend.
I know you remember that D-Wade game winner where he jumped on the table back in 09. He was the guy who got the ball stolen.
Wade County.
Yes. Yes. He was the guy who got the ball stolen.
The Raptors got him back when we traded Rudy to Sacramento. He was part of the package with Chuck Hayes, Patrick Patterson, and Vasquez.
Grievous
Make the salaries
Vasquez.
match.
Brooklyn Nets legend.
Yeah, that man is a Raptors legend. He got us Norman OG.
I guess him in the quiz. I don't know why. Like I threw his name out there.
That's fair. That's fair. He had one decent year with us before he shipped off.
There were some years like in between, like when Lowry got there and DeMar was like good. Just like I don't remember who was on this team. I think 2011, 2012 was like the worst year. I think like James Johnson was starting or something like that.
Yeah, that year was rough. Those Bosch to Lowry DeRozan years are rough. There's some rough teams in there. Once you get to the Lowry DeRozan days, it's not too bad. Then it's like T. Ross, Amir Johnson, JV, Rudy Gay, a little bit of Patrick Patterson, maybe.
My proudest pull was Sonny Weems.
Sonny Weems. That is a good pull.
Sonny Weems, man. I only know him from 2K.
That is a good pull. Yeah, I don't even know how well I would do on that because I might be good until like the mid 2000s, but then it would be rough. I'm not a historian. That's for sure.
I think the 90s was very tough. Like T-Mac never was like an official starter, so that was like difficult.
Right. Yeah.
Like, I just assumed Del Curry was in there. He wasn't. I forgot Damon Stoudemire. Like,
yeah, Damon Stoudemire would have been there. Well, who's the other guy I'm thinking of?
Christie.
Yeah.
Antonio Davis, man.
Yeah.
I guess Davis was in there. You got to remember Hakeem was there for like a season.
Yeah.
90s centers just love going out sad, man. That's like Patrick Ewing on Orlando.
Doesn't even look right.
Sean Kemp in Orlando too is like, yeah, that was rough times.
Went to Cleveland. You know, it wasn't big. David Robinson's like one of the only guys that like stayed put.
I mean,
yeah.
I'll call Shaq a 90s big, even though half his prime was in the 2000s. He was a team hopper at the end.
I think Alonzo was pretty much Hornets Heat, I think. No, he went to the Nets for a couple years too. Forgot about that. But JB is pretty much shots.
Okay, Tatum, what's going on here?
He's having a traditional stinker. Ooh.
No way.
I didn't even do that good on the Celtics quiz, to be honest. Or like 79 or something like that. 77.
Yes. Oh, this. No.
Yeah, from 07, 08 to like this season, I only missed one guy. It was Tyler Zeller. I just forgot the other.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's a reasonable one to forget.
When in doubt, it's a Plumlee or a Zeller.
Not a bad way to go.
Definitely not a bad way to go.
If you don't know what center was on your team this year, there's a 4 or whatever chance that it's
Man. probably not too far out of getting out of that era, which is not something I'm against.
It's crazy. Cody Zeller's like 30.
Man,
Someone's like 36.
there's so many white bigs that came to the league in that era that were lottery picks that just did not pan out. Between the Zellers, the Plumlees, who was the other name I just had on my mind? Kaminsky.
Frank the Tank.
Frank the Tank.
Was that Charlotte that drafted him?
Yeah, that was Charlotte. They love taking bad white bigs. Well, I should say loved because they've figured it out now. But
yeah.
But hey, Frank the Tank's made over 20 mil in his career, so fair play.
Hey, what does he do, Gabe?
He keep a job.
Keep a job.
Keep a job. Keep a job.
For real.
That guy's always employed.
For real.
Double down.
Just like me, for real, man. Started a job yesterday, like 3 days after I became unemployed.
The thing about Gabe, keep a job. Oh, come on
now.
now.
Plumlee's probably made a bag too at this point. He's been in the league for 9 years. Yeah, he's made over 60 mil. That's crazy.
A lot of bread.
No doubt.
He was in college. I think he might have been a 4-year guy too.
33, been in the league 9 years. Yeah, it would be.
That's Brooklyn Nets legend, man. Nuggets legend. He's kind of been around the block.
Yeah, he has been around the block. He's been on 6 teams.
Nets, Blazers, Nuggets, Hornets, Clippers. Pistons.
Yeah.
So no, this episode of good.
Highest points per game with any of his teams was with the Pistons. 26.8 minutes a game for them for 56 starts.
What's he average, like 11?
10.4.
Okay.
He's shooting 73% from the field with the Clippers. Oh my god. No, it's only 23 games, but man. And he was 87.5% in the postseason. My god.
He was alive in the DeAndre Jordan, that All-NBA first-team center days.
No doubt.
He came in the league a little earlier.
He would have been right up there with Roy Hibbert.
Ooh, come on. Of a lot.
Well, I think I might jump out of here, fellas. I think I'm gonna grab some food and probably dive back into more contract research.
I gotta finish my laundry so I can start packing up to get out of Middletown.
Right,
man.
I did also start that.
I've been in Middletown for like 5 days. It's 5 days too many. Time to leave.
I'm actually about to head to Springfield again tomorrow. I'll be bored up here in Columbus now, so.
Fair.
Uh,
I left Columbus, man. Tyrik don't got nobody to work out with.
Yeah, that's one of the major reasons too. Like, damn, I can't live with Gabe no more. Living by myself is just so.
Come live to Middletown, bro. I'll meet you in Centerville.
Is it a half? Centerville's like what, 45 from Springfield? It's pretty deep. We can do that though, but you got to be gone all week, so maybe when you come back.
When I come back, man, I gotta see the games.
All right, bet we can lock it in.
Well, thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of 3 Point Weekly. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like down below and subscribe to the channel for more content throughout the playoffs, and be sure to let us know who you think will finish out the second round series as we enter our games 4s over the next couple of days. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hope you guys have a good rest of your week, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
First Sunday episode.